tingling. But Feng Qiuyan was so frightened that she let go of her hands and vest. Careful. Lu Jingsong quickly caught the vest, paused, and put it in her hands again. After Feng Qiuyan was sure that she was grabbing the vest, she quickly withdrew her hand and closed the door with a bang. Lu Jingsong. After getting her vest back, Feng Qiuyan was very upset. She paused for a moment before gritting her teeth and putting it on. Looking at the expression on her face, if one didn't know, one would think that this vest had some deep hatred with her. The vest was already at the end of its strength and could not withstand the slightest disturbance. Feng Qiuyan had just put it on and was pulling it down when she heard a sizzle sound and the battered vest broke into two pieces. Feng Qiuyan looked down at the half-cut vest in her hand, her face full of disbelief. In the end, I don't know if she was too angry, but she calmed down. She took off the vest and put on her shirt with a stern face. Isn't it just half a vest? No one can see it. After getting dressed, she stuffed all the dirty clothes, including the piece of vest, into the bucket. Her leg is injured now, and she can't fetch water, so she can only go to the water tank to wash tomorrow. Half of the vest was missing, and she felt a little chilly. But there was nothing Liang could do. She couldn't go to the commune now, so she could only endure it for a few days. When I opened the door, Lu Jingsong had disappeared. Feng Qiuyan had just finished eating with Do Hua and went back to her room on crutches. After she returned to the room, Lu Jingsong also came into the shower room carrying a bucket of water. After taking a quick shower, he saw Feng Qiuyan's clothes in the bucket and picked them up, planning to wash them together. It was the first time that Lu Jingsong washed clothes for a woman. In my hometown, housework is tacitly done by women. If a man carries clothes to the river to wash, he will definitely be laughed to death. However, he had heard when he was in the military camp that the deputy regiment commander would wash clothes for his wife on weekdays. If others can do it, there is no reason why he can't. However, it was getting late, and he didn't plan to take it to the river to wash, so he decided to wash it at home. Anyway, you don't need to carry water here. It's all brought down from the mountains, so it's very convenient. His own clothes were very dirty, so he put them in a separate bucket and just stepped on them. His wife and daughter's hair were placed in another bucket. He took them out and washed them carefully with his hands. Especially for those two tight-fitting clothes, he subconsciously reduced his strength. But he is a man after all, and no matter how weak he is no match for a woman. Besides, Feng Qiuyan's vest and underwear were already old, so how could they withstand his rubbing? Lu Jingsong was washing his wife's underwear with red ears, but unexpectedly, the vest in his hands suddenly tore apart with a sizzle. Looking at the piece of cloth in each hand, Lu Jingsong almost tore his heart apart. He ripped her vest? It took him a long while to realize that the old vest was folded in his hands. Lu Jingsong didn't even dare to think about how angry Feng Qiuyan would be if she knew about this. Finally, he put the cloth aside with a guilty conscience, planning to hide it and buy her a new one. In his mind, he went on to wash the rest of the clothes. Who would have thought that while washing, a piece of cloth would be pulled out from the bottom of the bucket? A moment, Lu Jingsong couldn't help but doubt his memory. Didn't he just wash a whole piece of clothing? Thinking of this, he took out the cloth that had just been torn and pieced it together again. Looking at the intact vest on the laundry table and then at the extra piece of fabric in his hand, Lu Jingsong was not clear at all. Feng Qiuyan's clothes were also torn. This time, he almost died of heartache. If it wasn't getting dark, he would have wanted to fly to the commune right now to buy her some underwear. Pursing his lips, Lu Jingsong carefully rinsed the 3 pieces of cloth and put them in a clean bucket. Then, washed the rest of the clothes. Before dark, Do Hua came back from outside skipping and jumping. When she saw him, she grinned at him.
Dad.
Hearing her crisp call of Dad, Lu Jingsong's heart softened. Hey, where did you go just now? Putting the clean clothes into the bucket, he tried to chat with his daughter. I'm going to find Meow Meow. Let's play house together. Do Hua is now becoming bolder and bolder, and as soon as he opens his mouth, he starts to tell him about the game he just played. Before Lu Jingsong joined the army, he was a servant earning work points in the Lu family. After joining the army, He became a money-making machine. It can be said that he has not experienced much family love since he was a child. At this moment, just listening to his daughter's happy voice, a kind of blood bond, made his heart feel like it was filled with something sour and swollen. Without any impatience, he listened carefully to her talking about her playing with friends and would occasionally interject a few words. In the room, Fang Qiuyan was practicing calligraphy. Whenever she feels upset, she would write because writing can calm her down. But at this moment, she was holding a pen in her hand, but she didn't put it down. Listening to the affectionate voices of the father and daughter outside, a hint of confusion appeared on her face. I can't let go of the past, but what about tofu pudding? She be willing to leave here and live in the dormitory with her? Here are her favorite friends and Lu Jingsong, who is gradually beginning to play the role of a father. When she thought of this, her thoughts, which had finally calmed down, became chaotic again. She held the pen tightly in her hand, and her fingertips turned a little white. She had only written 2 or 3 lines in the notebook, but she no longer had the energy to continue writing. I don't know how long it took, but Dohua finally came back. Fang Qiuyan used her crutches to open the door for her. When she saw that Lu Jingsong was not outside, Dohua skipped back to the room, took off her shoes, and climbed onto the bed. Mom, tell me a story and I will tell it to my sister tomorrow. Dohua now always talks about how the older sister is taller or the younger sister is shorter. She obviously likes her group of friends very much. Fang Qiuyan lowered her eyes to hide her thoughts, paused, and then said, "Okay, lie on the bed, and I will tell you a story." After Lu Jingsong hung up the clothes, he went straight back to his room. It's not that he didn't want to find Fang Qiuyan, but he understood her personality. If I go to her myself at this time, not only will I be turned away, but I might even make her angry. Restraining the restlessness in his heart, he forced himself to lie on the bed. Just as I closed my eyes, I heard Fang Qiuyan's gentle voice from the next room. Lu Jingsong couldn't remember how long it had been since he heard her tell stories at night. Hearing that voice again at this moment, he pricked up his ears almost greedily. Why didn't he realize how outstanding she was before? Just thinking of this, Lu Jingsong couldn't help but smile bitterly in his heart. I used to have resentment towards her, so how could I possibly understand what kind of person she was? Thinking of the complicated entanglement between them, he felt mixed emotions. That night, Lu Jingsong suffered from insomnia again. The next room stopped at some point, but he still couldn't fall asleep. I tossed and turned in bed and finally fell into a drowsy sleep. In the dream, he seemed drunk, and his mind was a little unclear. At the same time, he felt an indescribable restlessness in his body, and in a daze, he heard Fang Dongshua's voice. "Qiuyan, why don't you come in?" "Qiuyan?" Lu Jingsong chewed on the name, and suddenly, a ball of fire ignited in his lower abdomen and instantly rushed to his limbs and bones. A few messy fragments flashed through my mind again. One moment she was seen with her eyes closed, looking pitiful. The next moment she was glaring at him with eyes blazing with fire, and finally the picture froze on that extremely scene in the rain. The fire burned more and more fiercely, until it consumed the last shred of his sanity. All night long, Lu Jingsong was wrapped in the fire in his dream, until one moment, he suddenly woke up. In the dim light, he smelled a strange smell in the air. Then, he lowered his head and looked down in disbelief. The next second, Lu Jingsong's ears started to burn. Maybe because he felt guilty or something else, he quickly changed his pants, rolled up the bed sheet, and took it outside. I planned to wash it and hang it up before Fang Qiuyan woke up. However, things went against his wishes. While he was washing the sheets, Fang Qiuyan's room door creaked open, was rubbing the bed sheets with his hands. When he turned around, he met those clear and surprised eyes. Lu Jingsong. He didn't expect her to get up so early and be caught by her. Lu Jingsong's ears, which had finally cooled down, became hot again. The whole person seemed to be frozen in place. Just when he was anxiously wondering what she would say, Fang Qiuyan walked away with a cane. Lu Jingsong. Fang Qiuyan simply thought it was weird that he got up so early to wash the sheets, but She didn't think much about it. After all, she had never been to school before, and her marriage with Lu Jingsong was abnormal, so naturally she didn't understand the physiological conditions of men. He only took a glance, then looked away and walked towards the shower room with the help of his crutches. Seeing that there was no contempt on her face, Lu Jingsong breathed a sigh of relief with a barely perceptible smile. But his eyes subconsciously followed her figure. Feng Qiuyan was going to wash up and then wash her clothes. But when I walked into the shower room, I saw that the place where the bucket was originally placed was empty. Feng Qiuyan felt a little strange. I clearly didn't take out the clothes last night. Could it be that Lu Jingsong took it out? Thinking of this, she forced herself to go out and look for it. I looked outside the shower room and next to the water tank, but didn't see her bucket. Just as she was wondering, she saw Lu Jingsong walking up to her. Are you looking for clothes? I did the laundry last night. Feng Qiuyan? He washed her clothes? When she thought of her vest that was broken in half, she felt terrible. Shame and anger surged into her heart, and she glared at him angrily. Who asked you to wash my clothes? Lu Jingsong. I didn't expect the boomerang to come so quickly. He said to her, at the beginning hit him on the head today. Lu Jingsong felt extremely regretful. Feng Qiuyan was too busy cursing to do anything, so she turned around and walked towards the clothesline. Lu Jingsong was afraid that she would fall, so he hurriedly followed her. Feng Qiuyan didn't care about her foot injury. She supported herself with a crutch with one hand and used her other hand to turn over the clothes hanging on the clothesline. But after searching around, I couldn't find the piece of my vest. Not only that, but even her unbroken vest was gone. Lu Jingsong had already guessed what she was looking for, so he stammered, That piece of clothing I accidentally tore while washing. Feng Qiuyan almost got furious when she heard this. Why did you touch my clothes? The great shame and embarrassment made her face turn red with anger. Although everyone knew what kind of life she had lived, Feng Qiuyan still didn't want anyone to see her embarrassment. Lu Jingsong thought she would be angry, but he didn't expect her to be so angry. He suddenly felt panicked. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Can I buy it for you later? But Feng Qiuyan became even angrier after hearing this. I don't need your kindness. Stay away from me. As she said that, she reached out and pushed him. But Lu Jingsong was a soldier who had been trained for many years after all. When she pushed him, not only did the man not move at all, but he also made her, a lame duck, bounce back. The whole person lost his balance and fell backwards. Feng Qiuyan was so frightened that her face turned pale and her right foot dropped to the ground in panic. Careful! Just when Feng Qiuyan thought she was going to fall, the next second, her waist tightened and she was caught steadily. The force of inertia also caused her to crash directly into the arms full of masculine aura. Then, the man's nervous voice sounded in her ears. Did your feet hurt? Feng Qiuyan. Unexpectedly, she failed to push the person away and was hugged instead. She was so angry that she almost vomited blood. Let me go. The crutches had fallen to the ground, and now he was holding her waist and lifting her up. Feng Qiuyan reached out and pushed his chest and began to struggle violently. But to him, her strength was no different from tickling. After a struggle, the man not only did not let go, but also lifted her thighs again and hugged her like last time. You sprained your ankle. You can't step on the ground. Lu Jingsong's voice had an indescribable hoarseness. Regarding her foot injury, his attitude has always been strong. Although Feng Qiuyan had no memory of that night, she still inexplicably felt a sense of danger when she heard his voice. The man's body was strong and solid, and his arms were like two iron arms, firmly holding her legs so that she could not move at all. Through the thin summer clothes, she could feel his scorching body temperature and his solid muscles. Her heart skipped a beat, and she didn't know whether it was panic or fear that made her dare not move at all. The whole person was like a frightened rabbit, allowing himself to be held in his arms. When Lu Jingsong looked up, he saw her frightened little face, and his heart was immediately filled with pity. He had no intention of putting the man down, so he lowered his voice and asked, Did you hurt your foot just now? Can I take a look? Although he spoke in a negotiating tone, His actions were extremely forceful. He carried her directly back to the room. Fang Qiuyan was frightened just now. She never thought that he would actually carry her back to his room. When she came to her senses, she felt like a sheep walking into a tiger's mouth.
I don't want to go in. Put me down.
Unable to hold back, she began to struggle again. But the man who entered his territory seemed to have awakened something. He hugged the soft woman, and the blood in his body couldn't stop boiling. Qiuyan, be good. Don't move, I'll just take a look. Barely suppressing the restlessness in his heart, he coaxed people without any instruction. It was not known whether it was because his voice was too gentle or because he was afraid that struggling would lead to unpredictable consequences, or because of the animal instinct to seek benefits and avoid harm. Fang Qiuyan finally stopped talking. Lu Jingsong put her on a stool, then took off her shoes, untied the bandages, and began to examine her. Seeing that he was really checking her foot injury and did not do anything else out of the ordinary, Fang Qiuyan felt relieved. This was the first time Fang Qiuyan entered his room. The furniture in the room was no different from hers. Even the style was the same. The only difference was that the room was filled with a masculine scent. Being in the middle of it, Fang Qiuyan's heart beat very fast, as if some unpredictable changes were happening. She took a deep breath, forced herself to calm down, and said, I'll go back and apply the medicine myself. I have an exam later. Heard that she was going to take an exam, he was stunned. Then, he gently put her feet down and said, Where is your medicine? I'll get it. During the examination just now, he found that the medicine on Fang Qiuyan's feet had been changed. And it seems to be very effective. The swelling has gone down a lot. Maybe I'll be able to walk normally again in a few days. Since she had such a good medicine, he naturally gave priority to using hers. Fang Qiuyan. Knowing that he had a stubborn temper, it was useless to argue with him, and it might even delay the exam. Fang Qiuyan pursed her lips and said reluctantly, It's on the table, a round box. Okay, wait a moment. Lu Jingsong said this and went out. Fang Qiuyan was left in the room, feeling very confused. Sometimes it was the days when she and Do Hua had been starving in the past few years, and sometimes it was his clumsy way of cooking and washing clothes. The two emotions intertwined back and forth, and finally turned into Do Hua's cheerful, Dad. Looking at the gradually brightening sky outside the window, her eyes were a little dazed and no one knew what she was thinking. Lu Jingsong hurried back with the medicine, and as soon as he entered the room, he saw her in a trance again. All of a sudden, he couldn't help but feel a deep pain in his heart. After a pause, he took the medicine and slowly walked towards her. Qiuyan, I got the medicine back. Hearing this, Fang Qiuyan came back to her senses. Looking at the man squatting in front of her and carefully applying medicine to him, she blinked and spoke in a complicated tone. Thank you. Hearing her voice, which was obviously less cold and hard, Lu Jingsong was stunned. When he realized what was happening, he paused for a moment, and then an overwhelming ecstasy spread uncontrollably in his heart. Restraining his excitement, he said with a trembling voice, You are my wife. No need to say thank you. Fang Qiuyan pursed her lips, said nothing, and turned her head away. But the fact that she didn't object was enough to make Lu Jingsong ecstatic. Bit by bit, and then tied the bandage again. He said with tenderness in his eyes, I'll get you some water to wash up. I'll cook for you later.
You can eat before taking the exam.
Fang Qiuyan had just taken the initiative to talk to him, and she couldn't help but feel a little regretful. Now meeting his fiery gaze, she felt extremely uncomfortable all over. Lu Jingsong knew that the gap between them was too big, and it would be impossible to achieve it overnight, so he could only take it slowly. Not daring to do anything else for fear of offending her, Lu Jingsong went out to help her get water to wash. By the time we finished our meal, it was almost 7 o'clock. Lu Jingsong is on a day off today and doesn't have to go to the army, so he goes to take the exam with Fang Qiuyan. He wanted to carry her over, but she didn't give him the chance. In the end, he could only follow a group of military wives and walk towards the square. Fortunately, he was not alone. Du Wangxian and the battalion commander also accompanied their wives to the square today. Hey, Lao Lu, don't tell me that is your wife. Du Wangxian pointed at Fang Qiuyan, who was leaning on a cane, and asked. He went out early and came back late, so he had no chance to see Fang Qiuyan. He only heard Lu Jingsong say that she sprained her foot, so he guessed that the person using crutches was her. Lu Jingsong nodded, and a smile appeared on the corner of his lips that he was not even aware of. Hearing this, Du Wangshuan's eyes widened. After a long while, he came back to his senses. He couldn't help but lower his voice and asked, "How could you leave such a beautiful wife at home for so many years?" If it were him, and he was schemed against by such a beautiful woman, he would at most be angry for a few days. How could you bear to leave it at home for so long? Lu Jingsong, could you please stop bringing up things that are not related to the topic? Earlier, Su Menjing followed a group of military wives to take the exam today, and she was very outgoing and soon became friends with the military wives. Sister-in-law, where is your hometown? After they got to know each other better, Su Menjing asked calmly. The person in the dream said that the person she was looking for was also from Eastern Province, but she didn't specify which city. Su Menjing had no choice but to inquire one by one. It's impossible to rely on her sister. Her sister never goes out of the house, just like the rich girls in the old society. Su Menjing suspected that she might not even know many military wives. Such a boring person, but her brother-in-law treats her like a treasure. I really can't understand it. Although she didn't know how that man would take away everything from her, Su Menjing was not someone who would just sit there and wait for death. She had to find someone in advance and deal with this matter as soon as possible. She asked was Wang Chunling. Wang Chunling was also a military wife from the countryside. Unlike Lin Wanshu, she usually dressed very simply. Seeing her asking, she didn't think much about it and just answered honestly. My family is from Western Province. Hearing this, Su Menjing's enthusiasm slightly diminished when she didn't get the answer she wanted. After a while, she went to chat with other military wives. But deep down, I couldn't help but resent the person in the dream, thinking that she was too useless. I don't even know the other person's name, and I have to let her find them one by one. Wang Chunling thought she was a little weird, so she started whispering to Yang Zheng. Why do you think she came to our family compound? She left the big city and came here to suffer. She said she came to see her sister, but she didn't accompany Su Mingqi. Instead, she wandered around the staff quarters. Although Yang Zheng was an expert in gossip in the family compound, she really had no idea what Su Menjing's situation was. Maybe you just want to come here to experience military life? Wang Chunling thought about it and probably thought that was the case. After all, girls these days all admire soldiers, and maybe they just want to come here to experience life. Thinking of this, the two didn't say anything more. Had just found a military wife who looked rustic and was about to start a conversation with her, but unexpectedly, when she turned around, she was met with a handsome face. For a moment, she froze in place. My heart was beating uncontrollably. Qin Yan was carefully protecting his wife and had no time to pay attention to anything else. Lin Wanshu was busy talking to her baby and didn't notice the unusual look. Xiao Miao Miao held her father's left hand and her mother's right hand, and walked in a skipping manner, obviously looking very happy. Su Menjing was just busy looking at the man and didn't notice that he was still holding the child. When he saw the woman and child beside him, his heart was suddenly filled with anger, as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on him. She reluctantly withdrew her gaze. She was no longer in the mood to chat with the soldier's wife. Soon, the group arrived at the square. Today's exam was different from yesterday's, as 10 people were taking it at the same time in batches. However, for the sake of fairness, the two candidates were separated by wooden boards so that no one could see each other. After the medicinal materials are processed, they are taken for grading. Lu Jingsong only knew that Fang Qiuyan could now read and write, but he had no idea about anything else. He didn't even know until just now that she was here to take the test for medicinal material processing. Standing by the window at this moment, looking at Fang Qiuyan, who was concentrating on processing medicinal materials inside, his face was full of shock. Although he couldn't understand it, he could tell how professional she was just from her calm and decisive actions. Du Wangxian was also watching the military wives taking the exam. He couldn't help but be amazed at the excellent performance of Lu Jingsong's wife. Old Lu, I'm a little envious of your luck. The last time someone made him so envious was the battalion commander, Lu Jingsong. Qin Yan did not go to the window to watch, but chatted with Shen Shuwen under the tree. Old Shen, have you heard that the deputy head of the regiment is going to be transferred? Qin Yan also heard about this matter and nodded when he heard it. I heard that he will be transferred to the Northwest Military Region, and there is a high probability that he will be promoted to a full group position. Promotions and transfers are very normal in the army, and they're used to it after serving in the army for many years. I just don't know whether the vacant position will be filled by airdrop or selected from the camp below. In the past few days, some people in the military camp have become uneasy. Doesn't want to be a general is not a good soldier. As long as one is a soldier, there is no one who does not desire to make achievements. Shen Shuwen patted him on the shoulder and said, Old Qin, I think you have a chance this time. If it weren't for his seniority, he would have been promoted long ago based on his military achievements. Hearing this, Qin Yan was not complacent. We have many talented people in our regiment. The commander of the 5th Battalion has more experience than me and has made outstanding military achievements. If anyone wants to be promoted, he should be promoted first. The army has never lacked capable people. Shen Shuwen naturally felt that his brother's abilities were much better than Old Chu from the 5th Battalion, but given their seniority, it was hard to say what the outcome would be. After the two chatted for a few sentences, Shen Shuwen was called away. Qin Yan was the only one left under the tree. He didn't like noise and had no plans to join in the fun at the square, so he just planned to wait for Lin Wanshu under the tree. Su Menjing had just finished chatting with a few military wives when she felt the sun above her head getting hotter and hotter. She clearly remembered what the man in her dream said, that she couldn't stay in the sun too often, otherwise her skin would deteriorate. Therefore, she didn't bother to chat with other military wives and hurried towards a big tree. But just as I got closer, I suddenly saw the handsome face with sword-like eyebrows and starry eyes. Plop, my heart started beating uncontrollably again. How come such a handsome man has a wife? And she is Lin Wanshu. Su Menjing thought with some regret. At this moment, an excited cry suddenly came from my mind.
Ah!
What a powerful look! Hearing this voice, Su Menjing almost jumped up in fright. When she came to her senses, she said in horror, Can't you only appear in dreams? Who told you that I can only appear in dreams? I don't have enough energy, so I have to talk to you when you are sleeping. But Su Menjing had already been frightened to such an extent that her legs and feet could not help but become weak. Nonsense! There is someone talking in your mind anytime and anywhere. Who wouldn't be afraid? Then, why did you come out today? Finally, she asked after calming down enough. She didn't know what this person was, but he had appeared in her dreams since she was 16 or 17 years old. She said she was here to help herself. At first, Su Menjing naturally didn't believe her nonsense. But as she predicted several things one after another, Su Menjing finally believed it completely. This time she could appear during the day, and she felt nervous and scared, but also a little excited. Of course it's because of this man. I can feel his luck even from such a distance. The voice was like that of a young woman, full of greed. Hearing this, Su Menjing's heart skipped a beat. She couldn't help but secretly glance at the man. His luck really that strong? And the voice in my head was still saying excitedly, If you can take him down, you'll have endless wealth and glory for the rest of your life. Su Menjing. Doesn't she want to? He has a wife, Su Menjing said with a wooden face. But just as she finished speaking, the voice in her head said with some regret, What does it matter if you have a wife? He is a man of great luck. You may not meet one among a million people. Don't be so stubborn. If you can be with him, my energy will be replenished, and then I can help you more. Hearing her say this, Su Menjing was moved. She can help me so much without energy. If she has energy, wouldn't she be even more powerful?
Well.
Okay, I'll try. As Su Menjing spoke, a sweet and lovely smile appeared on her red little face. Every time she smiled like this, men would look at her with admiration or obsession. Therefore, Su Menjing is very confident in herself. Just as she was walking towards him with great anticipation, the man who had been standing quietly under the tree suddenly took a step forward with his long legs and walked towards the bustling square without any warning. She didn't expect him to leave like this. After Qin Yan walked into the crowd, no one took the initiative to talk to him. He did not feel uncomfortable and continued to wait quietly for Lin Wanshu. Although they were far apart, he could still accurately capture her voice amidst the noise. Your medicine is substandard. Not only is it ineffective, but it may also cause diarrhea in patients. Looking at the medicine placed in front of her, Lin Wanshu said in a calm voice. The person standing in front of her was Fong Bailey. Hearing this, her face suddenly turned red. Why do you say that? My medicine looks the same as theirs. As she spoke, she pointed to the medicinal herb that had just received a high score and was placed next to it. The one who got the high score was none other than Yang Zheng. Hearing this, she rolled her eyes toward the sky. I have forged it with fire. Have you forged it with fire? Hearing this, Fong Bailey suddenly stammered and was speechless. She didn't even know what forged meant. The two doctors next to him also said to Fong Bailey with a serious face, Comrade, your medicine is indeed substandard. Pharmaceutical production is no joke, and you can't be careless at all. Hearing this, Fong Bailey disagreed. I don't believe that the factory will not provide training before starting work. If training is required, why should I study so hard in private? Can't you just tell me directly that you don't want me to go to work? Hearing this, Lin Wanshu almost laughed out of anger. We run a pharmaceutical factory, not a textile factory or a machinery factory. The medicines produced by the pharmaceutical factory are for treating people. If we are not careful, they may kill people. Fong Bailey was a little embarrassed, but she still wanted to seize the first opportunity and continued. After you have been trained, I will definitely not make mistakes again. After hearing what she said, Lin Wanshu's face immediately became stern. Why should I choose someone with a bad attitude when there are so many dedicated military wives out there? Who will be responsible for the patient if something goes wrong?
Can you do that?
These words left Fong Bailey speechless, and the news soon spread outside the square. The rest of the people didn't dare to say anything and just processed the medicine according to the requirements. After a morning of work, Lin Wanshu felt extremely tired. The little guy in my belly hasn't been making much noise lately, but my belly is so big that it's inconvenient to do anything. After finally finishing scoring the last military wife, she felt her head buzzing. When I finally walked out of the meeting room, Qin Yan was already waiting outside. Lin Wanshu had just forced a smile at him when she heard Su Menjing's voice coming from the side. Comrade Wanshu, you have worked hard. Lin Wanshu was so exhausted. How could she have the energy to pretend to be nice to a stranger? Hearing this, he just nodded at her politely. Thank you for your concern. I feel a little uncomfortable, so I won't chat with you anymore. Qin Yan was already worried about her, and when he heard that she was not feeling well, his heart suddenly tightened. Not caring about the many eyes watching him, he stepped forward and supported her. Wife, how are you? Are you feeling unwell? Should I take you to the clinic? I just saw such a cool and aloof person, but now he has turned into a wife-staring maniac. It was as if there was no room for anything else in his eyes except his wife. Su Menjing still had a sweet smile on her face, but she never expected that the man didn't even look at her. Seeing that his heart and eyes were filled with Lin Wanshu, she suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. I'm a living person standing here, but he didn't even notice me? Thinking of this, she also walked forward and wanted to support Lin Wan's other hand. Yes, Comrade Wanshu, what's wrong with you? I'll accompany you to the clinic. They look so familiar that if you don't know them, you would think they're close friends. But only Lin Wanshu knew that they were not familiar with each other at all. After saying hecko yesterday, Su Menjing was busy chatting with other military wives and had no time to pay attention to her. Now that he suddenly came to her again, Lin Wanshu had an inexplicable, strange feeling. However, before she could avoid Su Menjing's support, Qin Yan helped her to the side. No need to bother. Thank you for your kindness. clearly said thank you, but anyone could see the displeasure in his eyes. How could Su Menjing have thought that she would be rejected in her first attempt? Suddenly, I felt depressed. Her lips moved, and she wanted to say something, but Qin Yan had already helped Lin Wanshu leave. He didn't even give her a spare glance. Su Menjing's signature sweet smile froze on her face. Looking at the man who took care of Lin Wanshu wholeheartedly, her heart was suddenly filled with resentment. If she had known him first, would she be the one being pampered now? Lin Wanshu didn't take the little episode just now to heart. Seeing her man so nervous, she spoke to comfort him.
I'm fine.
I just feel a little uncomfortable after sitting for a long time. I'll be fine after walking around. Hearing this, Qin Yan was still worried and looked at her face carefully again. Are you really okay? Lin Wanshu nodded. Well, let's go back quickly. I'm hungry. Qin Yan saw that except for a little fatigue, her face still looked rosy and shiny, and he finally let go of his worry. Okay, let's go back first. Mom should have prepared dinner. With Sun chiefing around, they don't need to cook at all, as she always prepares meals on time. When it comes to food, Lin Wanshu becomes excited. Without any delay, the couple went straight home. As soon as she returned home, Lin Wanshu saw Yu Fangfang squatting at her door. He supported his chin with both hands and looked unhappy. Seeing this, Lin Wanshu walked forward anxiously. What's wrong, Fangfang? When Yu Fangfang saw her, her eyes turned red, her mouth pursed, and she looked like she was about to cry. Woo-woo.
Wan.
My husband, Mr. Feng, will be transferred soon, and I can't bear to leave you. As soon as she heard the news, she ran over. Unexpectedly, Lin Wanshu hadn't come back yet, so she squatted at the door waiting. How could she hold back when she met someone like that? Hearing this, Lin Wanshu was a little surprised. She didn't expect Feng Yandong to be transferred so suddenly. Looking at Yu Fangfang with red eyes, she couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness in her heart. Reaching out and patting her shoulder, she comforted her. Don't be sad, Fangfang. Even if we are separated, we can still write to each other. But it would have been better if she didn't comfort her. This comfort made Yu Fangfang even more sad. It takes so long to receive a letter, and we men are so busy. Will I ever have the chance to see you again in this life? The more she talked, the sadder she became, and she finally burst into tears. Lin Wanshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Fangfang, have you forgotten that I have a house in Beijing? Maybe we can meet in Beijing someday. Including the one given by her uncle master, she now owns several courtyard houses in Beijing. Hearing this, Yu Fangfang stopped crying. Grabbing Lin Wanshu's hand, she said whimsically, why don't we all go live in Beijing and let their men stay in the army? The more I thought about it, the more I thought this was a good idea. Beijing is so great. You can get whatever you want, and everything from food, clothing, housing, and transportation is convenient. The most important thing is that she can meet Lin Wanshu every day. As soon as these words were spoken, not only did Qin Yan's face turn black, but even Feng Yandong, who came here to find his wife, was scared to death. Yu Fangfang. Feng Yandong's expression was tense, and he stared at the woman who was eager to leave him. Even though Yu Fangfang is usually very spoiled, once Feng Yandong gets stern, she immediately becomes timid. I was just talking. Why are you so fierce? Her eyes were still red as she spoke aggrievedly. Feng Yandong's gloomy expression didn't last for more than a few seconds before it suddenly disappeared. Sighing, he rubbed her head and said, I'll bring you back to find them when I have the chance. That being said, soldiers have very little vacation time. How can you not go back to see your family when you finally get a vacation? How much time can you really spend with your friends? Since I joined the army, brothers who have been through life and death with me have come and gone. How many of them can see each other again after separation? It is because of this that friendship in this era is particularly precious. Yu Fangfang knew it too. All the words were just comfort. She pouted and hugged Lin Wanshu again, saying in a muffled voice, I don't care. You have to promise to write me a letter every week.
Not
every 2 days. Lin Wanshu. If she wrote one letter every 2 days, her hands would probably break from writing. But seeing her pitiful appearance, it was hard to say no. Okay, I'll write you a letter every 2 days, just in case you find me annoying. How is that possible? I can be annoying to anyone but you. You are my sworn sister. I can't deny it. Hearing this unilateral sworn brotherhood again, Lin Wanshu almost laughed at her. Okay, we are good sisters, I won't deny it. After coaxing him for a long time, I finally managed to calm him down. Suddenly, thinking of something, Lin Wanshu asked again. By the way, when are you leaving? I will make some delicious food for you. And Jianxi, he likes grilled fish the most. I will cook him a meal before you leave. Hearing this, Yu Fangfang's body stiffened and a hint of embarrassment appeared on her face. I heard about it for half a month. Lin Wanshu. Seeing you crying so sadly, I thought you would leave in 2 days. There were still tears in Yu Fangfang's eyes, and the expression on her face became even more embarrassed. I'm just getting familiar with it in advance, so that I won't be unable to adapt when the day of separation comes. Lin Wanshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Can this thing be rehearsed in advance? Okay, I get it. There's still half a month left, which is enough time for me to prepare a lot of delicious food for you. When it comes to delicious food, Yu Fangfang's eyes light up and she starts ordering without any hesitation. Make me some peanut candy, some meat jerky, some mushroom sauce. Qin Yan listened from the side and his face darkened again. Doing so much. Isn't it likely that his wife will be exhausted to death? Feeling Qin Yan's unfriendly gaze, Yu Fangfang, who was about to place another order, shut her mouth. That's all for now. Just tell me what materials you need, and I'll ask my old phone to prepare them. Lin Wanshu calmly pinched her man and warned him not to scare Yu Fangfang. Then she said, Why do you need to prepare? Just wait. Their friendship, this little thing, is really not worth anything. Yu Fangfang had been with Lin Wanshu for a long time, and she knew that if she said that, she would definitely not accept her ingredients, so she didn't say anything else. But in my heart, I was secretly thinking about giving her something powerful. This would save her from having to leave and having other military wives take her place. After chatting for a few more sentences, the two men tacitly separated the two women and took their wives home, as if they were afraid that they would really abandon them on a sudden whim. On the other hand, Fang Qiuyan finished her exam and went home early. After Lu Jingsong sent her home, he went out and hasn't returned yet. He cooked porridge in the morning. He deliberately cooked lunch porridge as well. Now I can have lunch just by cooking a dish. Although he had asked her not to cook before he left, Fang Qiuyan still planned to steam an egg at home, so she took out 3, beat them in a basin, added warm water, and stirred them, squeezed off the foam on the surface, and after the water boiled, put the basin into the pot and steamed it for 8 or 9 minutes. Steaming, she also put a lid on the basin to prevent water from the pot lid from dripping into the basin. The eggs steamed in this way are tender and smooth. After the eggs were steamed, she was about to serve them out when Lu Jingsong came back from outside. I also brought back some tofu pudding. Look, Mom, this is what Dad bought for me. As soon as she entered the door, Dohua held up a small tin frog and ran towards her happily. Her the frog like a treasure. The little frog was green, with a spring on its side. Dohua twisted the spring a few times and put the frog on the ground, then saw it jumping up and down. Look, it jumps. Dohua's little face turned red with excitement. In this age when people can't even get enough food, such a toy is unimaginable for rural children. Fang Qiuyan looked at her excited and happy expression and felt more and more mixed emotions in her heart. Mom, do you want to try it? Dohua picked up the little frog and looked like she was sharing something good with her. Fang Qiuyan touched her head and smiled lovingly. Thank you, Dohua. Then Mom will play for a while. Her foot was not healed yet and she didn't dare squat on the ground, so she supported herself with a crutch, put her center of gravity on her left foot, picked up the frog, twisted the spring twice, and then placed the frog on the stove. The frog was put down, it jumped up, da-da-da. Dohua clapped her hands and giggled with joy. Lu Jingsong stood at the door with a lunchbox in one hand and a bag in the other, watching the mother and daughter playing with the little frog. His eyes and brows were incredibly gentle. His gaze was so direct. How could Fang Qiuyan not feel it? But she was not used to such looks after all, and in the end she could only pretend not to know. But Lu Jingsong still keenly noticed something different. Was filled with tenderness. After a pause, Lu Jingsong walked to Fang Qiuyan's side. "This is for you." Hearing this, Fang Qiuyan finally turned her head. Looking at the bag handed to her, she asked in confusion, "What's in it?" Lu Jingsong's ears turned slightly red, and there was a hint of discomfort on his face. "You'll know when you see it later." He said this in a somewhat slurred voice and stuffed the bag into her hands. Seeing him like this, Fang Qiuyan somehow recalled what he said to her in the morning. He really be going to buy himself a vest? Just as I was thinking this, I felt the unique soft touch of the fabric in the bag. In an instant, her face turned red.
How?
How do you buy this? When she thought about how he, a grown man, ran to a vest shop to buy this thing for her. At the same time, there was a strange feeling in my heart. Lu Jingsong was also a little embarrassed. Especially when he thought of the strange look of the salesperson just now, he felt extremely embarrassed. "I was afraid you had nothing to wear, so I went to buy it." He was the one who rubbed the vest, and her feet were still injured, so no matter how embarrassing it was, he had to buy it back for her. If it had been before, Fang Qiuyan would definitely not have accepted the vest bought by Lu Jingsong. But when she saw Do Hua happily playing with the little frog next to her, after hesitating for a moment, she still accepted it. "Thank you." Seeing that she accepted it so easily, Lu Jingsong was stunned at first. Then, a heat surged in his heart, and his eyes seemed to be burning with two flames, and he looked at her straight. "You are my wife, no need to say thank you." How could Fang Qiuyan resist? Not sure whether she was embarrassed or uncomfortable, she turned around and said calmly, "It's time to eat. Go wash the dishes." Seeing that she still didn't object, Lu Jingsong felt a little dizzy and disoriented. "Hey, I'll wash it right away. I'll help you sit over there first. Not to mention washing the dishes. Even if you ask him to clean the house, he can do it clean immediately." Settling his wife down, Lu Jingsong went to wash the dishes. He went to the commune. It was time for lunch, so he packed a box of braised pork that he had prepared in advance. Add Fang Qiuyan's steamed eggs, and there are 2 dishes in total. There is no need to do anything else, just eat it. Fang Qiuyan glanced at the man who was busy running around with a look of excitement on his face, then looked at Do Hua who was following him eagerly, and couldn't help but sigh in her heart. Forget it. Let the past be the past. After dinner, Fang Qiuyan wanted to wash and hang up the new vest he had bought. If she didn't wash it, she would have no underwear to wear at night. Lu Jingsong is a man and has no idea of washing new clothes. Anyway, he just put on the military uniform issued by the army. Was a little surprised when he saw Fang Qiuyan carrying a bag to the water tank. "What are you going to do?" "Just let me do it." Her foot hasn't healed yet, and he wants to feed her every meal. How could he let her do anything? "No need for you. I'll just rinse the vest." Although she has decided to try to live a good life with him, Fang Qiuyan is still not used to him washing her underwear. As she spoke, she opened the bag and prepared to take out the vest. But as soon as she opened the bag and saw clearly what was inside, her face turned completely red. "What? What did you buy?" Fang Qiuyan closed the bag in embarrassment and threw it back into his arms. Lu Jingsong caught it in a panic, his face full of confusion. "I told the salesperson I was buying underwear for my wife, and she asked me about my height and weight, then picked out 2 sets for me. Is there something wrong with that?" It was embarrassing for him as a grown man to buy underwear for his wife, so how could he dare to look at it? He took the bag, paid for it, and went back. Now seeing Fang Qiuyan so angry, Lu Jingsong felt very nervous. With trepidation and confusion in his heart, he opened the bag, and the next second, he saw 2 pieces of strangely shaped cloth in the bag. Did she misunderstand what I meant? Lu Jingsong couldn't tell what it was, so he just took it out. In my hand was not made of much material. It was 2 semicircles in the middle, with a strap on each side and hooks at the end of the straps. As I was watching, somehow, the scene of that day's rainstorm suddenly flashed through my mind. Guessing how this little underwear was worn, Lu Jingsong's face turned red.
"Chill.
Chuyen, I'm sorry. I didn't know she brought me this. I'll go buy you 2 more now. Had finally been eased, and Lu Jingsong was afraid that she would suspect he was a pervert, so he spoke anxiously. Seeing him like this, Fang Chuyen knew clearly that he did not mean it. Thinking of this, her complexion finally looked a little better. Then you can return it. Asking her to wear this underneath, Fang Chuyen felt extremely embarrassed just thinking about it. But when Lu Jingsong heard this, he looked a little embarrassed. He is a grown man, and when he negotiated with the salesperson with this kind of underwear, others might think he was a hooligan. I won't return this one. I'll buy you 2 more. Having said that, he turned around and was about to walk out. Fang Chuyen. When she heard that he had no intention of retreating, she was puzzled at first, but then she quickly figured out the key. It was already shocking for a man like him to buy underwear for a woman. Maybe now everyone in the commune knows him. It would be too difficult for him to return the goods now. Thinking of this, Fang Chuyen felt a little hesitant. Biting her lip, she called out to the person, etc. Hearing this, Lu Jingsong stopped. What's wrong? He was now afraid of leaving a bad impression on her and wished he could fly to the commune immediately to buy her a vest. Fang Chuyen called out to the person, but her face turned red and she didn't say anything for a long time. Seeing that she was hesitant, Lu Jingsong thought that she had something else to confess, so he turned around and walked to her. Do you have anything else to say to me? Fang Chuyen blinked and her face turned even redder. After a moment, she quickly said, no need to buy it. It costs a few dollars to buy a vest, and this kind of underwear is even more expensive. If you don't return it, it will be a waste of money. After thinking about it, Fang Chuyen decided to forget it. Although she was from the countryside, she heard from the girls in the team that this was what the educated youth in the city wore in their underwear. Moreover, the educated youth privately laughed at the village girls for wearing vests that could not cover anything. In fact, the girls with fuller figures in the village can't really cover anything when wearing a vest. Although she was embarrassed, she felt that she could still try new things in order not to waste money. The most important thing is Lin Wanshu seems to be wearing this too. Although her voice was very soft, Lu Jingsong was close and could still hear it clearly.
Does no need to buy mean?
Can she accept this? When he thought of that scene, Lu Jingsong's breathing became heavier. But he didn't dare say anything or even make the slightest move that might overstep the mark, for fear that he might accidentally make her retreat again. Okay, then don't buy it. I'll wash it for you and hang it up. Having said that, he turned and walked to the water tank. Fang Chuyen wanted to say that she could wash it herself, but the man didn't even give her a chance to speak. Just pour all the clothes in the bag into the basin. Only then did Fang Chuyen realize that he not only bought 2 pieces of bras, but also 2 pairs of underwear. The whole set probably doesn't cost as much as the vest alone. Looked particularly small in his big dark hands. Fang Chuyen didn't understand why things suddenly turned out like this. He bought her underwear and washed it for her? Just by looking at it, her face was so hot that it could almost cook the eggs. In the end, she didn't dare to look at it any longer and forced herself to go back to her room. Looking at her fleeing back, Lu Jingsong's eyes became even hotter. It was not until she returned to her room and closed the door that he withdrew his gaze regretfully. Just rubbing the cloth in his hands, his heartbeat became uncontrollable again. On the other side, Su Menjing returned home feeling a little unhappy. As soon as I entered the door, I saw her sister writing calligraphy in the room. Pursing her lips, she couldn't help but complain in her heart that she was obviously very young, but she was as boring as an old man in his 40s or 50s. However, she only dared to think such words secretly in her heart. After entering the room, she walked to Su Mingqi with a depressed look. What's wrong, Menjing? Being used to her energetic appearance every day, Su Mingqi couldn't help but ask worriedly when he saw her so depressed. Hearing this, Su Menjing let out a long sigh. Nothing, it's just that when I saw Comrade Wanshu, I suddenly felt that I was really useless. The reason why Su Menjing knew about this person was because Su Mingqi told her about it in a letter he wrote home. It turned out that Su Mingqi had a long-standing problem with headaches. Whenever it rained, his head would hurt as if it was going to split apart. Later, I still went to Lin Wanshu for help. Su Menjing came here not only to find the bumpkin, but also to thank Lin Wanshu on the orders of her parents. However, she didn't take the thanks too seriously, thinking her parents were making a fuss out of nothing. She is a doctor. Isn't it normal for her to treat patients? Why would she need to come all the way here to thank her? When Su Mingqi heard this, he quickly put down the brush in his hand, took her hand and comforted her. You don't have to compare yourself with others. You are the apple of your parents' eyes, and you were born to enjoy happiness. Hearing this, a hint of pride flashed in Su Menjing's eyes. But there was still that distressed expression on his face. But I've grown up and can't be the same as before. Sister, I've decided to stay with you for a few more days so that I can experience your hardships. Hearing this, Su Mingqi smiled with relief. Our Menjing has grown up and become sensible. You can stay here if you want. You can go back home whenever you want. Seeing that she agreed, Su Menjing was overjoyed. After a pause, she tentatively said, Sister, can I visit Comrade Wanshu more often in the future? I want to learn from her. Hearing this, Su Mingqi looked a little embarrassed. Lin Wanshu's belly was so big already, so she naturally didn't want to go over and disturb others. But looking at the gaze of his sister, he couldn't say no. If you want to find her, I'll take you there tomorrow. Su Menjing knew that Qin Yan was going to the military camp tomorrow, so how could she be willing to wait until tomorrow? Grabbing Su Mingqi's hand, she shook it and said coquettishly, Can we go today? And just at this moment, Nanjing also came back. What is it? Seeing Nanjing, Su Menjing paused in her coquettish behavior, and then an awkward smile appeared on her face. Sister, brother-in-law, you're back? Although Nanjing looked gentle and kind, Su Menjing always felt that his eyes were too sharp, as if they could see through all the truth. This is why every time she sees him, she feels like a mouse seeing a cat. Nanjing nodded, the smile on her face looking like a spring breeze. What were you two sisters talking about just now? Su Mingqi didn't notice anything wrong with her sister. Upon hearing this, she smiled and said to Nanjing, My sister said she wanted to stay in the family compound for a while longer and make more friends. Although she seldom goes out, Su Mingqi has heard that her sister has a great time with the other military wives in the family compound. Oh. Nanjing glanced at Su Menjing with a look of surprise on his face. Su Menjing suddenly felt her scalp tingling, as if the secret in her heart was about to be seen through by him. Fortunately, he quickly looked away. Of course it's fine if you want to get to know military wives, but don't go there on your day off. Hearing this, Su Menjing suddenly felt unwell. How could she see Qin Yan if the day off didn't pass? Just as I was thinking this, I heard Su Mingqi say with some annoyance, Look at me. I was confused. Fortunately, your brother-in-law reminded me. Menjing, it's rare for a soldier to rest and reunite with his wife. It's not a good time for us to go there. I will take you to see Comrade Wanshu tomorrow. On weekdays, their training intensity is so high that they are often not at home until late at night. They finally have a holiday and now they are acting like light bulbs. How can that be wrong? Seeing that she really didn't plan to take her to see Lin Wanshu today, Su Menjing couldn't help but feel angry. She listens to her brother-in-law in everything. Why is she so useless? But in front of Nanjing, Su Menjing didn't know what to say, for fear that he would notice her thoughts. In the end, she could only agree sullenly. 3 days later, the test results came out. The military wives ran to the family committee office early in the morning to look at the list. Although the scores were given on the spot, everyone had some idea of how they performed. But even so, they still hold on to a glimmer of hope. What if others don't do well in the exam? You might still have a chance to be selected. Therefore, after the list was announced, the entrance of the Parent-Teacher Association office was surrounded by 3 layers of people. Those who saw their names on the list were ecstatic, while those who did not find their names were dejected. Parent-Teacher Association office. It was a mess outside, but it didn't affect Ma Qiuping in the office at all. She was extremely excited when she thought that the pharmaceutical factory could solve the employment problem for 1/3 of the military wives. The difficulty for military wives to find jobs has always been a concern for her. She has thought of ways to solve the problem, but the positions are limited, and if the employees don't leave, how can she possibly squeeze in the jobs for them? Now that so many jobs have been solved at once, how can she not be excited? At that time, Lin Wanshu and Fong Qiuyan appeared in the uphill team. Fong Qiuyan was the first to look at the list. Although I already know that my grades are good, if nothing unexpected happens, I will definitely be able to enter the factory. But when she actually saw her name on the admission list, she was still very happy. It just so happened that her foot healed today and she walked with a breeze. I have to say that Lin Wanshu's medicine is truly miraculous. For a sprained ankle like hers, if she took ordinary medicine, it would probably take 10 days or half a month to heal. But after using the medicine for a week, she now feels almost well. I can walk on my own without a cane. Today is the last day of acupuncture for Wen Xianghan. Besides Fong Qiuyan, Yang Zheng and Tang Qian also came with her. The four arrived at Lu Xiuying's house. A lot of people gathered at the door. As soon as they saw her, everyone's eyes suddenly lit up with eagerness. "Doctor, are you here to check Xianghan's eyes again?" "Doctor, can you take a look at me too? My leg hurts a lot when it rains." Ever since the villagers learned that she had cured Wen Xianghan's eyes, they acted as if they had seen a miracle doctor. Every time Lin Wanshu came to see Wen Xianghan, they would wait outside, hoping to get a chance to see the doctor. Captain Wu Jiang was afraid that the crowd would crowd Lin Wanshu, so whenever she came, he would send militiamen to the scene to maintain order. This is why the villagers can only watch from outside. Lin Wanshu basically responded to the villagers' requests for medical treatment. But she was still pregnant after all, and it was impossible for her to treat so many people. She only treated some illnesses that the barefoot doctor could not cure. But even so, it was enough to make the villagers ecstatic. Lin Wanshu entered the room. The villagers stretched their necks and waited outside. Since the first day when Xianghan could see the light, his eyesight became clearer and clearer. To this day, she feels her eyesight is almost back to what it was before she became blind. As soon as Lin Wanshu entered the yard, she went to greet him. "Dr. Lin, you are here." Wen Xianghan was in very good health before she became blind. Now that she can see again, she can walk very skillfully. Reaching out and holding Lin Wanshu's hand, her eyes were full of joy and gratitude. Lu Xiuying had also prepared water early, and when Lin Wanshu came over, she quickly asked her to sit down and drink water. Even Mimi came happily to bring a handful of wild fruits. "And this is sweet. Give it to my brother." Ever since she first met her, Mimi would call her Belly brother. Lin Wanshu touched her head with a smile and said, "Thank you, Mimi. I just had dinner at home, and I'm very full." The child's words to heart. For Lin Wanshu, it made no difference whether the baby in her belly was a boy or a girl. She likes everything as long as it is between her and Qin Yan. Mimi felt a little disappointed when she saw that she didn't accept it. "Why doesn't Annie want it? My brother likes it very much." As soon as these words fell, Lin Wanshu felt like she was kicked in the stomach, as if in response to Mimi's words. Unable to refuse such a kind offer and not wanting to disappoint Mimi, Lin Wanshu finally took two. "Thank you, Mimi." Mimi saw that she accepted her wild fruits. She immediately smiled and urged her to eat them quickly. Lin Wanshu herself is a doctor and a Chinese medicine practitioner at that. She is very familiar with all kinds of wild plants and knows clearly which ones are edible and which ones are not. The wild fruit in my hand is just the ordinary dragon fruit. It tastes similar to passion fruit, but it is very mini in size. Lin Wanshu got the fruit. She pelleted it and ate it directly. The sweet and sour juice has the unique aroma of passion fruit and is really delicious. The little guy in my stomach really liked it. As soon as he finished eating the fruit, he moved again. For some reason, Lin Wanshu remembered the fruit she had eaten in her dream and the snake that brought her the fruit. "Is it tasty?" Mimi tilted her head back and looked at her expectantly. "It's delicious, thank you." Lin Wanshu touched her head again. Mimi immediately smiled happily. Lu Xiuying's overall condition has visibly improved recently because her mother-in-law's eyesight has improved. She is no longer as haggard as she was a few days ago, and now she looks full of energy. "Mimi, Go play with your sister and don't disturb Auntie from treating Grandma. Even in the most difficult times, she never lost her temper with her two children. Now that things at home are getting better, she is in a good mood and always has a smile on her face when she speaks. Mimi likes the way her mother is now. Just looking at her smiling face makes her feel better. Hearing this, she said hecko to Lin Wanshu and then skipped off to play. Lin Wanshu did not delay. After Mimi left, she took Wen Xianghan's pulse. After taking her pulse, I started to perform acupuncture on her according to the routine procedures. After this period of treatment, the blood clots in Wen Xianghan's head have almost dissolved. If I have another acupuncture treatment today, I will be basically cured completely. Fang Qiuyan has helped Lin Wanshu a lot and is now very skilled. Whether it is disinfection or delivering needles, she is like a professional nurse. With the cooperation of the two, today's treatment ended smoothly. After pulling out the last needle, Lin Wanshu smiled and said to Wen Xianghan, "Today is the last treatment. After taking the medicine I prescribed, your eyes will be completely healed." Hearing this, the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law were immediately excited. "Very good. Thank you, doctor." Of gratitude over and over again, but Wen Xianghan still felt unable to express her feelings. Maybe this was just a momentary kindness on the part of the other party, but it was precisely this bit of kindness that directly supported their home that was about to collapse. If it weren't for Lin Wanshu, they might have quickly run out of options and wouldn't have been able to hold on any longer. "Comrade Wanshu, thank you so much. If it weren't for you, I don't know what to do," said with red eyes, holding her stomach. "My mother-in-law's eyesight has improved. Now she has someone to take care of her after she gives birth to the baby, and she doesn't have to worry about anything when she works in the fields." Lin Wanshu was relieved to see that both the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law looked better. I patted her hands and she smiled and said, "I have received your words of thanks. The most difficult days are over. Things will get better and better in the future." This was not the first time that Lin Wanshu had said this, but Lu Xiaoying was still deeply moved every time she heard it.
Well,
"We will live a good life, and will not let you down." Even when things were most difficult, she never thought of giving up this family. Now that her mother-in-law is better, what reason does she have for not living a good life? Fang Qiuyan watched the mother-in-law and daughter-in-law thanking Lin Wanshu again, and the shock in her heart was beyond words. She witnessed with her own eyes how Lin Wanshu rescued this suffering family and brought them hope to survive. Just like before, she kindly pulled me back. A seed, whose identity was hard to describe, was quietly buried deep in her heart. The eyes that Yang Zheng and Tang Qian looked at Lin Wanshu were full of admiration. It turned out that when they came today, in addition to accompanying Lin Wanshu to treat Wen Xianghan, they also brought a basket of eggs and a bag of supplies. Lin Wanshu finished examining the patient. The two handed the basket and bag to Lu Xiaoying. "What are these?" The basket was covered with cloth. Lu Xiaoying couldn't see what was underneath and didn't dare to reach out to take it. "These are eggs. The sisters-in-law in our family compound heard about you and said they would send you some eggs to nourish your body. There is also this bag, which contains some clothes and other miscellaneous things. Please take them." Because Fang Qiuyan injured her foot a while ago, Tang Qian and Yang Zheng accompanied her to treat Wen Xianghan's eyes. Indeed an expert in gossip. Wherever she goes, there is nothing she cannot find out. After learning about the story of Lu Xiaoying and her husband, she was immediately deeply moved. After coming back, she told this to other military wives. When the military wives heard this, they felt sympathy for this miserable but strong woman, and without saying a word they organized themselves to donate clothes and eggs to her. When Lu Xiaoying heard that the military wives had donated things to her, her eyes couldn't help but become red again. She be so lucky? How could she meet so many kind people? But although she was touched, Lu Xiaoying felt it was not easy to accept other people's things. After all, no one is rich these days, and she is lucky to have received Lin Wanshu's help for free. How can she have the nerve to ask for anything else? "Thank you for your kindness, but I can't accept these."
you can take them back.
Ever since Yang Zheng heard about her deeds, she guessed that she was a strong-willed person. Otherwise, she wouldn't have such a big belly and was supporting a blind mother-in-law and 2 children. Therefore, she was not surprised by her rejection. He stuffed the egg into Wen Xianghan's hand. "Aunt, your daughter-in-law is about to give birth, and she needs to take care of herself by then. Don't refuse this egg." Tang Qian also carried the bag and put it next to her. These are some clothes that the sisters-in-law in the family compound found. They are all without patches. There are clothes for both adults and children. They are all here for summer and winter. If you don't mind, you can accept them. Wen Xianghan originally had no intention of taking these eggs. After all, they were too expensive. But when it came to her daughter-in-law, she couldn't say the words of refusal. Although her eyesight has recovered, she has been relying on her daughter-in-law for support. The rice jar at home is almost empty. What can she use to nourish her daughter-in-law? Carrying a full basket of eggs and looking at a big bag filled with clothes, Wen Xianghan could no longer hold back her tears. "Okay, thank you, Andy. There are indeed more kind-hearted people in this world." After examining Wen Xianghan's eyes, Lin Wanshu did not leave immediately, but stayed and saw a few more patients. These patients came to her because they could not be cured by barefoot doctors. Lin Wanshu studied both Chinese and Western medicine. In her previous life, she spent 6 years reading countless books. Therefore, when treating the villagers, she also adapted to local conditions and did not prescribe Chinese medicine specifically. After asking the barefoot doctors what medicines were available in the clinic, she would prescribe the clinic's medicines if possible. She only prescribes Chinese medicine if it is not available at the clinic. However, she didn't plan to give them her own medicine since she prescribed Chinese medicine. After all, the current situation is still very serious, and prescribing medicine by yourself is a hassle regardless of whether you charge for it or not. Many eyes and gossips in the village. If you don't charge any fees, there will definitely be people who take advantage of you. But if you charge a fee, it will be troublesome if you are reported by someone with ulterior motives. Although she didn't have to worry about anyone coming to arrest her in the staff quarters, she still tried to avoid this kind of trouble if possible. Villagers also knew her rules and dared not complain. There is no other reason, it's just that most of the patients in the village who come to her for treatment have recovered. How foolish would they be to offend such a great doctor? After treating the villagers, Lin Wanshu returned to the military compound with several military wives. Before I got home, I saw a familiar figure standing at the door from afar. Why is she here again? Tang Qian was the one who couldn't hold back her words and immediately couldn't help but curl her lips. No way, who made us Wanshu so popular? Yang Jing couldn't help but joked. She had been with the army for quite some time, and apart from Ji Hualan, she had never seen any military wife more popular than Lin Wanshu. Even the arrogant Du Fuling is now following her around. Even if Lin Wanshu didn't pay much attention to her, she didn't mind. He looks like he is willing to accept a cold reception even if it means his face is warmed by others, which is really amazing. But Tang Qian still felt that things were not that simple. Is it necessary to dress up so fancy to visit Wanshu? Mutter as she looked at the floral dress she was wearing. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu suddenly realized that Su Menjing seemed to have really dressed up carefully. Not only did she wear a well-tailored dress, but she also tied her hair into a princess bun, looking quiet and pretty. Yang Jing couldn't help but frown. She doing wearing such beautiful clothes and running to someone else's house? Su Menjing was standing at the door of Lin Wanshu's house, posing in the most graceful manner according to the voice in her head. Her head slightly at a 45-degree angle, pretending to look casually at the tree in front of her, and stood sideways with her belly tucked in, revealing her slender waist. Su Menjing has already figured out the time. Qin Yan will come back at this time. It just so happened that Lin Wanshu was not at home, which was the best time for her to carry out her plan. When Su Menjing thought of that tall and handsome man, her eyes became even more fiery. Today is her favorite style. It not only sets off her fair skin, but also shows off her figure. In her father's school, she attracted countless attention just by wearing this skirt. Su Menjing believed that if Qin Yan saw it, he would definitely be amazed by her. Just as she was daydreaming and waiting for Qin Yan, suddenly, A puzzled voice came from the side. Comrade Su, did you sprain your waist? Hearing this, Su Menjing, who was already posing stiffly, almost staggered. Still in shock, she turned away angrily. But who knew that I would be met with 3 pairs of curious eyes? Unexpectedly, she had calculated the time well, but instead of waiting for Qin Yan, she waited for Lin Wanshu and the other 2. Su Menjing suddenly froze in place. Tang Qian had already walked forward and was holding her arm with a concerned look on her face. Oh, poor kid. Where did you twist your waist? It happens that our Wanshu is a great doctor. Why don't you ask her to take a look at you? Hearing this, Su Menjing's face almost turned pale. Is she blind? She has such a beautiful posture, but she actually said she twisted her waist? Yang Jing knew that Tang Qian had a sharp tongue, but she didn't expect it to be so sharp. She almost couldn't help laughing. Reluctantly restraining her smile, she asked with concern, Comrade Su, I see that you don't look well, and there are pimples on your forehead and chin. Are you not used to sleeping here and getting irritated? Su Menjing's skin was not that good to begin with. After all, the ultraviolet rays in places like Eastern Province were too strong. Even if she was careful to avoid the sun on a daily basis, her pores were not as delicate as those of other people's naturally good skin. I don't know if it's because of the unfamiliar climate these days, but I got a sore throat and developed 2 pimples. She had carefully put on a layer of powder to cover it up before going out, but she never thought that someone would point it out to her right in front of her. Her face darkened by 2 shades. However, when she thought of the purpose of her trip, she forced herself to suppress her unhappiness and forced a smile on her face. I really haven't had a good rest these past few days. The bed here is too hard. After sleeping all night, I feel pain all over my body. So I wanted to come to Comrade Wanshu to get some medicine. Since the 2 of them said so, Su Menjing simply went along with what they wanted. Lin Wanshu also wanted to find out what Su Menjing was trying to do, so she didn't refuse. Then come in with me and I'll show you. Seeing her invite herself in, Su Menjing almost suppressed the smile on her lips. Thank you, Comrade Wanshu, you are such a nice person. Having said that, she didn't hesitate and followed Lin Wanshu into the yard. Her sister brought her here a few days ago, but Lin Wanshu was always lukewarm towards her. I would rather chat with her sister, that wooden person, than talk to her. Su Menjing came here by herself today. Without waiting for Qin Yan, she simply changed her plan and decided to get along well with Lin Wanshu first. Yang Zheng was a person who loved to watch the fun, and Su Menjing didn't look like a good person, so she simply stayed to see what she was going to do. Tang Qian had already been admitted to the pharmaceutical factory, and she was very happy. She didn't plan to work today, so she followed him in. Even Feng Qiuyan didn't leave. Soon, the pharmacy was packed with a group of 5 people. Lin Wanshu and Su Menjing sat face to face, and she reached out to take Su Menjing's pulse, just like she usually did when seeing a doctor. After she put her hand on it for a while, her eyebrows couldn't help but jump. How strange. She had never seen such strange meridians. Each meridian is connected to a red line that is so thin that it is almost invisible. And this red line was like a living parasite, absorbing the energy in her meridians bit by bit. How about it? Originally, Su Menjing didn't come to see a doctor, and she treated Lin Wanshu with a nonchalant attitude. But seeing her serious expression at this moment, she couldn't help but be shocked. As soon as she finished asking the question, that excited voice suddenly came into her mind again. Ah, this woman's luck is also very strong. The sharp voice almost frightened Su Menjing to jump up. Barely restraining herself from losing her composure, she gnashed her teeth and cursed in her mind. Can you please not scream so loudly all of a sudden? What good will it do if you scare me silly? Hearing this, Chi-Chi smiled a little embarrassedly.
Saw thee.
I was just too excited. It turns out that the thing in Su Menjing's mind is called Chi-Chi. Chi-Chi said she didn't know where she came from. She just said she felt her presence as soon as she woke up. It just so happened that she could sense the direction of her destiny, so she decided to stay and help her. Su Menjing naturally had reservations about Chi-Chi's words. The reason why she didn't find a Taoist priest to take her in was because she saw that she really had some abilities. Hearing Chi-Chi's words at this moment, she couldn't help but roll her eyes in her heart. She is a woman. What does her strong luck have to do with me? Is it possible that she would date a girl just for this thing? Just thinking about that scene made her shudder. Of course it does. Get close to her and see if there is anything special about her. If you find anything, I will help you take it away, and this luck will belong to you. Chi-Chi discovered that this woman's aura was very strange, different from that of the man. But she couldn't detect exactly what was different, so she could only ask Su Menjing to check it out. Hearing this, Su Menjing was immediately moved. That's luck. No matter how ignorant she was, she knew how powerful this illusory thing was. Okay, I'll get close to her and see if there's anything strange about her. Anyway, she was going to get close to Qin Yan. Being close to one is being close to two is also being close. By then, as long as she gets familiar with Lin Wanshu, she doesn't believe that she won't be able to find her flaws. Lin Wanshu felt that the silk thread in Su Menjing's body became very excited. While twisting, it also quickly absorbs energy. What on earth is this thing? Why is it so strange? Su Menjing felt anxious when she saw that she was slow to speak. Without caring about whether she was lucky or not, she asked again, "Comrade Wanshu, why don't you say anything? What happened to me?" Whether she likes Lin Wanshu or not, Su Menjing has no doubt about her abilities. After all, Su Mingqi had seen countless doctors for his headache, but none of them could cure it. Now that she has been cured by Lin Wanshu, how could she dare not believe in her medical skills? Lin Wanshu looked at the unconscious Su Menjing with a complex look in her eyes. After taking her hand back, she said, "You are suffering from heat stroke. It's nothing serious. Just go back and boil some honeysuckle to drink." But when Su Menjing heard this, she looked skeptical. "Are you really okay?" Then why did she have that expression just now? For Lin Wanshu to say that there was a parasitic red thread in her body. After all, the fact that she could see the meridians was too unbelievable. Would let anyone know except Qin Yan. After a moment of silence, Lin Wanshu continued, "It's nothing serious, just a little constipated. Drinking some honeysuckle water will be fine. Not only is there a lot of dampness in her body, but there is also heat. It would be strange if she didn't get irritated." Su Menjing was very concerned about her reputation and did not tell Lin Wanshu that she was constipated. This time she was pointed out directly, and she was immediately embarrassed. Just at this moment, the voice of a baby suddenly came from the door. "Dad, Mom is here." Hearing this voice, Su Menjing suddenly had a very bad feeling. He turned his head mechanically, and the next second, he saw a familiar tall figure standing at the door. With a boom, Su Menjing's face turned completely red. Not shame, but embarrassment. She was so embarrassed that she wished she could dig a hole in the ground and crawl into it. He heard what Lin Wanshu said just now. When Su Menjing thought about how she dressed up so carefully and posed so gracefully, and he didn't see it, it would have been fine, but he caught her in such an embarrassing scene. She felt like vomiting to death. Just as she was daydreaming, Qin Yan walked in. To a few military wives, he walked straight towards Lin Wanshu. "Wan, there's a letter for you." As he said this, he handed over the letter in his hand. From beginning to end, it was as if he had not even seen Su Menjing, a living person. Qin Yan's disregard immediately made Su Menjing's embarrassment seem extremely ridiculous. She looked at him in disbelief. He really not see her? Why didn't he say hecko to her? Lin Wanshu's attention was on the letter Qin Yan handed over, and she didn't notice Su Menjing's expression. "Was it sent by my uncle?" she asked expectantly before she even took the letter. Sun Haidao would send her a letter every month, and considering the time, it was time now. But just as she asked this question, she noticed that Qin Yan's expression looked a little strange. "It's not Jing City, it's the Red Star Brigade." Qin Yan recognized the notes above, which seemed to be written by the Lin family. Seeing that his expression was not right, Lin Wanshu quickly guessed that it must have been sent by her parents again. In an instant, The anticipation on her face turned into lack of interest. Reaching out to take the letter, she casually put it in the drawer without any intention of opening it. If they could send her a letter, it must be nothing good. Seeing that Lin Wanshu didn't open it, Qin Yan didn't say anything. After handing her the letter, he didn't stay long and turned away. Su Menjing felt more and more uncomfortable. She was dressed so beautifully. Why didn't he even look at her? Just as she was thinking this, another idea suddenly came to her mind. Qin Yan was deliberately not looking at her because he was concerned about Lin Wanshu. Otherwise, how to explain that he greeted other military wives but ignored her? The more she thought about it, the more she felt that this was true, and Su Menjing was suddenly full of confidence again. Xiao Miao Miao did not go out with her father. She had been playing with her friends this morning, and now that she rarely sees her mother, she just wants to be close to her. The military wives all liked Miao Miao. When they saw her coming, they couldn't help teasing the baby. Xiao Miao Miao is a smart kid. He is only 2 years old, but he speaks like a little adult. The military wives were so fond of them that they wished they could take them home right away. Su Menjing had hidden thoughts in her heart. She did not have the slightest fondness for this child, who looked very similar to Lin Wanshu. But she knew that if she wanted to deal with Qin Yan, she would have to put some effort into this kid. Therefore, even though she didn't like it, she still put on a gentle smile. Your name is Miao Miao, right? How old are you this year? The first 2 times Su Menjing came over, Xiao Miao Miao was playing with her friends and didn't recognize this strange Anne at all. However, she kept in mind her mother's words that she should respond politely when others greet her. Therefore, even though she didn't know him, she still said obediently, My name is Miao Miao, and I'm 2 years old. That adorable look melted the hearts of the military wives. But Su Menjing found it very annoying. If she gave birth to a daughter, she would definitely be prettier and more well-behaved than this one. With a gentle smile on her face, she was about to praise her for being so well-behaved when she saw the child pointing at her belly and asking curiously, Andy, are you pregnant too? Hearing this, Su Menjing almost turned pale. What does this little brat mean? Is he saying that his belly is big? Tang Qian didn't expect Xiao Miao Miao to say that, and she couldn't help but burst out laughing. Lin Wanshu was also a little helpless, so she tapped the little guy's forehead and said, Miao Miao, this is not Auntie. This is Auntie. Auntie has a stomachache, not a baby. Hearing this, Miao Miao's eyebrows were wrinkled together, and her eyes were still staring at Su Menjing's belly with curiosity. It was as if he couldn't understand why the aunt's belly was bulging, but there was no baby inside. The child's gaze was too direct, and it was hard for Su Menjing not to understand. Suddenly, the expression she had managed to control with great difficulty almost broke again. Tang Qian reached out and pulled Miao Miao to her side, saying protectively, Comrade Su, Miao Miao is still young, and she doesn't understand that constipation will cause her stomach to swell. Don't bother with her. If she hadn't worn such a tight skirt, who would have been able to tell that she had a bulging belly? Hearing Tang Qian saying constipation and stomach bloating all the time, Su Menjing's face turned completely black. If she didn't have a trace of rationality, she would have wanted to curse. But she knew that she couldn't break up with him now because if she did, she wouldn't be able to find Lin Wanshu again. Thinking of this, she forced a smile and said stiffly, How could that be? The child is still young, and I won't take it to heart. I have something else to do, so I'll go back first. Had originally dressed up carefully to impress Qin Yan, but now she just wanted to go home quickly to avoid further embarrassment. Seeing that she ran away without even taking the medicine, the military wives in the room all looked puzzled. Isn't it just constipation? Is it necessary to have such a big reaction? Lin Wanshu was also puzzled and felt that Su Menjing was a little weird. Only Feng Qiuyan, looking at the hurriedly leaving figure, felt more and more familiar with it. They had obviously never met before, but why did it feel so familiar? Several military wives originally wanted to see what Su Menjing was doing here. Now that she was gone, they had no plans to stay any longer, so they said goodbye and went back. After the military wives left, Lin Wanshu opened the drawer and took out the letter Qin Yan had just given her. When I opened the letter, it was just as I expected. sent from my mother's side. Lin Wanshu knew without even looking that he was trying to get her to send money back by playing the victim. I just don't know what the reason is this time. He frowned and quickly read the contents of the letter. Soon, she found out that Lin Jimei was getting married in September, and her father asked her to go back to attend the wedding. However, Lin Wanshu could guess with her knees that it must have been Li Xiuji's idea to ask her to go back. After all, her father doesn't have the nerve to look for her. Thinking of this, Lin Wanshu couldn't help but smile coldly. She didn't believe that Li Xiuji didn't know that her due date was in the 8th month of the lunar calendar. Even if she is out of confinement in September, can she really travel a long distance just to attend a wedding banquet? Obviously, Li Xiuji's purpose was definitely not to invite her to the wedding. Sure enough, after a lot of long-winded words, the last sentence of the letter read, "If you can't come back, please send some money to Jimei for her dowry." Even though Lin Wanshu knew that Li Xiuji was thick-skinned, she didn't expect her to be so shameless. Not to mention that Lin Jimei was brought here by her and has no blood relationship with her at all. Just talking about what the mother and daughter did to her, how could she have the nerve to talk to him like that? With a dark face, Lin Wanshu frowned and began to think. It was acceptable to be apart from each other, but it was not reasonable for her to not express anything at all. But asking her to send money is absolutely impossible. She would rather spend dozens of dollars to send some useless things than send them a dime. What kind of thing may seem acceptable to you in appearance, but is actually of no use? You need to think about it carefully. On the other side, Fang Qiuyan had just returned home when she saw Lu Jingsong walking and carrying a big fish. Where did the fish come from? Why is it so big? Their relationship has eased a lot in the past few days, and Lu Jingsong seems like a different person. Not only did she wash her clothes every day, but she also sent her this and that. He was extremely kind to Dohua. He almost held her in the palm of his hand. Fang Qiuyan saw everything he did. The mental defenses that were originally built high also gradually began to loosen. Lu Jingsong looked at her wide eyes, and a smile unconsciously appeared at the corner of his lips. I asked a fellow villager to save it for me a while ago. He happened to catch it today, so I bought it back. Lu Jingsong could never forget the fish cooked with chili pepper made by Fang Qiuyan. The two of them broke the ice. He was already thinking about when she would cook another meal. Now she no longer avoids him or rejects him, and she happens to catch a big fish. Lu Jingsong felt that God was helping him. Although Fang Qiuyan had begun to accept Lu Jingsong, she was still not used to the way he looked at her. Suppressing her uneasiness, she reached out to take the fish and asked calmly, "What do you want to do?" Lu Jingsong looked at her red ears, and a dark light flashed in his eyes. His gaze also became more scorching. After a pause, he said, "Just like that day, cooked with chili peppers."
Good.
Fang Qiuyan said this, and carried the fish to the water tank in the kitchen. The fish was still alive, and it started jumping around with crackling sounds as soon as it was put down. Fang Qiuyan picked up the kitchen knife and struck it with a sharp click. But maybe it was because the fish was too big, but it not only did not faint after being hit, but also jumped up suddenly. Fang Qiuyan was caught off guard and was hit directly. She was startled and stepped back subconsciously. But she forgot that the water tank was surrounded by bricks. As he stepped back, he tripped over a brick. Careful! Lu Jingsong happened to be standing next to her. When he saw her trip, he quickly caught her. Fang Qiuyan could remember how many times she had fallen in front of him. Maybe she was used to being embarrassed, so she was still quite calm.
Thank you. I'm Fine.
As she spoke, she moved her arm, signaling him to let go. But Lu Jingsong seemed not to have heard it. His big hand was still tightly holding her arm, with no intention of letting go. Fang Qiuyan is wearing that gray shirt today. The shirt is made with short sleeves. Without the barrier of cloth, the man's rough big hand just grabbed her arm. Feeling the scorching heat in his palm, her heart couldn't help but skip a beat. From a distance of a fist, the man's extremely aggressive aura came, and Fang Qiuyan's heart began to beat wildly. I don't know if it's because of fear or something else.
Lu
Jingsong, her lips moved and she spoke in a trembling voice, wanting him to let her go. was holding her limp arm, had already been stunned on the spot. In the palm of my hand, the woman's skin is delicate and smooth, and in my nostrils, her fragrance is mysterious and alluring. When he thought that she had accepted him, Lu Jingsung's blood began to boil uncontrollably. Looking at her red lips opening and closing, he seemed to be bewitched by something and moved closer to her uncontrollably. Fang Qiuyan's heart beat faster and faster. My hands subconsciously pressed against his chest, not knowing whether to grab or push away. Soon, their breathing blended together. Seeing that the man's lips were about to fall, Fang Qiuyan closed her eyes as if she couldn't bear it any longer. He tried his best to restrain himself from moving back. Just when she thought the man's lips were about to fall, suddenly, Ji Hualan's voice came from outside the door. "Is Qiuyan at home?" That shout was like a thunderclap, suddenly pulling the two people who were caught in an ambiguous relationship back to reality. Fang Qiuyan was so frightened that she pushed Lu Jingsong away. Someone called me. I went to check it out." After saying these words, she ran out as fast as a frightened deer. Lu Jingsong almost kissed someone but was interrupted. His face turned as black as the bottom of a pot. Rubbing his face violently, he followed out with a somewhat unhappy expression. Outside the door, Fang Qiuyan walked up to Ji Hualan with a red face. "Hualan, do you have something to talk to me about?" Fang Qiuyan's heart was still beating wildly, and her voice was not very steady. But she couldn't care less. When she thought about how she was almost kissed by Lu Jingsong just now, she felt so embarrassed that she wanted to stay away from him. Ji Hualan was an experienced person, and she knew what Fang Qiuyan had just done as soon as she saw her expression. Just that it's normal for a couple to be together behind closed doors, and she didn't think there was anything wrong with it. "I'm here to deliver a letter to Captain Lu." As she spoke, Ji Hualan handed over the letter in her hand. She didn't know whether Lu Jingsong was at home or not, so she called Fang Qiuyan. But they are husband and wife, so it doesn't matter who receives the letter.
Oh.
Thank you." Just hearing Lu Jingsong's name, Fang Qiuyan's heartbeat became uncontrollable. Ji Hualan saw that she looked like a little woman. A smile flashed in her eyes, and she couldn't help but made a joke. "No thanks, I still have a letter to deliver, so I won't disturb you and Captain Lu." Being teased, Fang Qiuyan was so embarrassed that her hair almost burned. In order to hide her embarrassment, she responded casually, picked up the letter, and pretended to read it. Ji Hualan knew that she was embarrassed, so she didn't say anything else. She just said hecko to her and left. Who had originally intended to just pretend, was stunned when she saw the handwriting on the envelope. The blush on her face disappeared completely in an instant. Just at this moment, Lu Jingsong also came out. Seeing her standing at the door in a daze, he walked over quickly. "Qiuyan, what's wrong?" Fang Qiuyan unconsciously clenched her hand, holding the letter tightly, until she heard Lu Jingsong's voice. She suddenly came to her senses. Looking at the concerned man in front of her, the emotions in her eyes were complicated and difficult to discern. Seeing her like this, Lu Jingsong suddenly had a bad feeling. Just when I was about to ask her what happened, I heard Fang Qiuyan say calmly, "There is a letter for you." As she said this, she stuffed the letter into his arms and went back to the kitchen. Lu Jingsong looked at her back, which had become distant again, and his heart suddenly tightened. Exactly happened? Thinking of this, he quickly picked up the letter she had just stuffed into his arms. After seeing the familiar handwriting on the envelope, Lu Jingsong's pupils shrank. Is it Fang Dongxue? She write to herself? Since they got married, Lu Jingsong and Fang Dongxue have never had any contact with each other. It was many years since he received her letter again. Holding the letter, he was a little dazed, as if he didn't know how to react. In the kitchen, Fang Qiuyan had knocked the fish unconscious and removed the scales. She sharpens the kitchen knife frequently, so it is very sharp. A big fish was quickly split in half in her hands. Cut off the fish head and bones and place them on a plate, then cut the fish meat into thin slices. Fang Qiuyan was so calm that it seemed as if she was not the one blushing and having her heart beating fast just now. After the fish fillets were ready, she added starch, egg white, and seasonings, mixed well, and set aside. Then, prepare other materials: chili pepper, Sichuan pepper, onion, ginger, garlic. Fang Qiuyan placed the ingredients onto the plate one by one in an orderly manner. These were given to her by Lin Wanshu. She had only made them once, so there were still a lot of materials left. The ingredients were prepared. Fang Qiuyan lit the fire and washed the pot and heated it up. I don't know how long it took, but Lu Jingsong finally came back. The moment the footsteps sounded, Fang Qiuyan's hands paused slightly and then became smooth and nimble again. Lu Jingsong walked step by step to the stove, sat down, and watched the fire, without saying a word. The atmosphere in the kitchen was strange and depressing. It was as if the ambiguity just now was just an illusion of the two of them. Fang Qiuyan did not ask him what was in the letter, nor did she question why he was silent. It was as if everything had returned to the starting point. She and he were just strangers living under the same roof. Looking at the silent Fang Qiuyan, Lu Jingsong felt as if his heart was being pressed down by a huge stone. It was so heavy that he could hardly breathe. Lu Jingsong wanted to say something, but didn't know how to say it. It turned out that Fang Dongxue wrote to tell him that the man in the city had cheated on her, and after tricking her into giving birth to a son, he abandoned her and her son and went back to the city. Now she has become a joke in the village and is pointed at whenever she goes out. The letter also said that she had jumped into the water twice. If someone hadn't rescued her, she would not be alive now. She said she had nowhere else to turn and wanted to come to him for help. If he hadn't wronged her, how could she have been deceived? If he was still a man, he would be responsible for her. After reading the letter, Lu Jingsong had never felt so helpless as he did at that moment. He had clearly decided to let go of the past and start a new life. So why did something like this suddenly happen? She wants to come and rely on me, so what should I do with Qiuyan? Qiuyan is now his legitimate wife. In response to Lu Jingsong's silence, Fang Qiuyan still had no intention of asking anything. Because based on her understanding of Fang Dongxue's personality, the content of the letter was either that she had encountered some trouble and needed Lu Jingsong's help to solve it, or that she knew she was joining the army and wrote the letter to annoy her. No matter which situation it was, Fang Qiuyan found it extremely boring. It was because of tofu pudding that she decided to live a good life with Lu Jingsong. But now that Fang Dongxue is here, she doesn't want to force herself anymore. The base ingredients were quickly fried, and Fang Qiuyan brought the fish bones and put them into the pot. With a sizzling sound, a delicious aroma wafted through the kitchen. However, Lu Jingsong, who was originally full of expectations, now had no appetite at all. Fang Qiuyan didn't care about Lu Jingsong's mood. After making the boiled fish step by step, she put the pot on. She took out 2 eggs from the cupboard, beat them, added water, and put them in the pot to steam before she turned around and went out to order tofu pudding. Fang Qiuyan didn't walk far before shouting a few times at the door. After a while, Dohua came back jumping and skipping. "Mom, I have delicious peanut candy." Dohua held an oil paper bag in his hand and ran towards his mother happily. Walking up to him, she first gave one to Fang Qiuyan, then asked, "Where's Dad?" Fang Qiuyan looked at her innocent, smiling face. She, who was originally calm and seemed to have no emotions, suddenly felt a pang in her heart. An unexpected pain spread throughout her limbs. After finally suppressing the strong emotion, she pulled the corners of her lips. "He's in the kitchen." Dohua was so anxious to share the delicious food with his father that he didn't notice that his mother looked strange. Holding the peanut candy, he skipped towards the kitchen. While running, he shouted, "Dad, look, I have delicious peanut candy." As Lu Jingsong looked at the tofu pudding running towards him happily, he felt as if several pounds of Coptis chinensis were suddenly poured into his heart, bitter and astringent. Just like in the previous few days, Dohua threw himself into his father's arms, raised the candy in his hand, and fed it into his mouth. "Dad, eat quickly." Lu Jingsong mechanically held the tofu pudding and mechanically opened his mouth. It was obviously sweet peanut candy, but he tasted bitterness in his mouth. The eggs in the pot had been steamed, and Fang Qiuyan, who had calmed down again, took out the eggs. She took out 3 sets of bowls and chopsticks, washed them, and made the porridge. Then she called out, "Come and eat." The sound was so calm that there was no difference from before. "Here we come." Dohwa said this and flew over like a happy little bird to help her mother move the stool. After moving, he waved to his father. "Dad, come quickly. It's time for dinner." Lu Jingsong swallowed the half-chewed peanut candy in his mouth, and his throat felt like it was scratched hard by something, causing him to feel a little sore in his eyes.
Good.
Dry voice and came to the dining table like a wandering soul. Fong Qiuyan still didn't speak to him, but took a spoon and beat a spoonful of egg into the tofu pudding. "Eat quickly. After you finish eating, Mom will take you to pick mushrooms." Hearing this, Dohwa's eyes lit up. "Great, I want to go." Dohwa likes to go up the mountain to play the most. Not only can he pick delicious mushrooms, but also sour and sweet wild fruits. However, since Fong Qiuyan had to collect herbs, it was not convenient for her to take her with her. On weekdays, she would either go up the mountain with other military wives or go alone, and she rarely brought tofu pudding with her. When she heard that her mother was going to take her to the mountains to pick mushrooms, without being urged, she ate mouthful after mouthful of porridge. The porridge was cooked in advance and the temperature was just right, not hot. The egg cooled down soon after being put into the porridge, and Fong Qiuyan was not afraid of getting burned. On the table, but only Fong Qiuyan took some. Lu Jingsong hardly moved his chopsticks. Fong Qiuyan didn't care. After finishing her meal, she took the tofu pudding out. Watching the mother and daughter's backs gradually disappearing into the distance, Lu Jingsong's tightly clenched hands finally loosened slowly, and a bright red bloodstain was faintly visible in his palms. Because of Fong Dongshua's letter, the relationship between Fong Qiuyan and Lu Jingsong once again reached freezing point. It was not known whether it was intentional or not, but Fong Qiuyan once again began to leave late and return early. Living under the same roof, the two rarely bump into each other. Even on weekends, she stayed at Lin Wanshu's house. The factory's equipment was pulled in yesterday. It was delivered by He Wenju. Her belly is almost 7 months old and looks much bigger than Lin Wanshu's. Xiao Yong looked terrified and refused to let her go to work. Coincidentally, his mother Wang Guifan also came and was living in the family compound, taking care of her daughter-in-law who was pregnant with twins. He Wenju originally didn't want to take a vacation, but her belly was too big and it was inconvenient for her to work. Finally, she followed Xiao Yong's suggestion, and after delivering the equipment to the pharmaceutical factory, she settled down in the staff quarters. She was also at Lin Wanshu's house at this moment, watching her make mushroom sauce for Yu Fangfang. In a few days, Yu Fangfang will leave here. She has also completed the job transfer procedures these days and doesn't have to go to work. She spends almost the entire day at Lin Wanshu's house. Like a follower, she followed Lin Wanshu wherever she went. Lin Wanshu felt so upset that she wanted to make all the food she could cook and force it on her. Not only did she make mushroom sauce, she also made beef sauce and chili sauce. There are also a variety of long-lasting and delicious snacks. Although she knew that she was not good at cooking, Lin Wanshu still prepared a lot of practical food for her. These things are our Yun province's specialties. You can take them with you. If you don't eat them yourself, you can give them to others. Although Feng Yandong is going to be promoted to the rank of colonel when he gets there, there are only benefits and no harm in establishing good relationships with other military wives. Listening to Lin Wanshu's nagging instructions, Yu Fangfang's eyes felt sore and bitter. In the past, she would never lower herself to make friends with the person who took the initiative. After all, her grandfather's status is there, and it's up to others to curry favor with her. How could she take the initiative to make friends with others? But after getting along with Lin Wanshu for a long time, she now realizes how important harmonious neighborhood relations are. Not to mention anything else. Just in the 6 months since Lin Wanshu came to join the army, there have been fewer quarrels in the family compound. Everyone is either busy collecting herbs or learning how to make medicine. Who has time to argue about trivial things? Even the men couldn't help but praise it privately, saying that the atmosphere in their family compound was better than anything they had ever seen before. The women at home are well-behaved and don't make trouble, while the men are training in the front with full of enthusiasm. Maybe she couldn't do what Lin Wanshu did and unite so many military wives. But she is also willing to learn from her. Holding Lin Wanshu's arm and resting her head on her shoulder, Yu Fangfang said gloomily, Wanwan, you are so good to me. I will not be used to it when I go to the northwest in the future. Lin Wanshu was also a little sad, but she still cheered up and joked with her. Didn't you say we are sisters? Since we are good sisters, how can I not be nice to you? When Yu Fangfang heard this, her mood immediately improved a lot. Without any hesitation, she packed all the things that Lin Wanshu had prepared into another sack. Tang Qian felt so painful watching this. Fangfang, can you carry so many things? Do you want me to help you digest them? Beef sauce, chili sauce, lots of meat jerky, lard. Hiss. She couldn't help drooling when she thought about it. Hearing this, Yu Fangfang reflexively sealed the bag and looked at Tang Qian with a vigilant look on her face. Don't even think about taking advantage of me. If I can't carry it, I still have my old man Feng. Don't say that these are all delicious. Even if they are not delicious, she will take them away. After all, they were all prepared for her by Lin Wanshu, and she treasured them very much. Tang Qian saw that she looked like she was on guard against thieves and couldn't help but mutter something. Is it that serious? You already have so many delicious foods. What's wrong with giving me two? Yu Fangfang. As for that, I'm not like you. I can see Wanwan every day. This is the only thing I think about. After a while, the two of them started arguing again. The military wives were already used to it, and they felt a little amused and helpless watching the two of them pecking each other like elementary school kids. Huanju has been busy in the machinery factory these days and has a rare vacation. Seeing that Lin Wanshu's place is still bustling with activity, the smile in her eyes never stops. How wonderful! They can finally bask in the sunshine of peace, play and fight as much as they want, without having to worry about the artillery fire that may fall on their heads at any time. Amidst all the hustle and bustle, there was one person who seemed out of place. Lin Wanshu looked at Fang Qiuyan, who was sitting in the corner in a daze and couldn't help but feel worried. But there were so many people around now that she couldn't ask her anything, so she planned to ask her later. Today is a rest day, and Lin Wanshu's house is packed with people. Yu Fangfang is leaving in a few days, so everyone decided to prepare a meal together as a farewell banquet. Qin Yan and Feng Yandong went to buy meat early in the morning and have not returned yet. Qiu Yong, Shen Shuwen and others were helping to chop wood and kill fish in the yard. Women were not idle in the kitchen either, helping Yu Fangfang pack things. I started picking vegetables, washing the pot, and boiling water to prepare to kill the chicken. Wanshu, I'm not saying this, but your chicken is really good looking. Early in the morning, Lin Wanshu asked Qin Yan to catch a castrated chicken, which was now tied under the foot of the stool. Yang Zheng looked at the big fat chicken and couldn't help drooling. Other people's chickens may not grow this big even after 1 or 2 years of raising them, but hers can reach 4 or 5 kilograms in just over half a year. Such a growth rate is simply terrifying. If they could all raise chickens like this, would they still have to worry about not having meat to eat in the future? It turned out that this chicken was the first brood of chickens hatched by the hen in Lin Wanshu's home, and it was one that was accidentally left out. She was too lazy to send it over, so she just raised it herself. Even the castration was done by her own hands. Also doing well. Its growth rate is as fast as a balloon. It has grown to nearly 5 kilograms in more than half a year. Kong Bufan and the other man were so greedy that they were drooling. As soon as she talked about chickens, Tang Qian immediately became excited. She didn't bother to argue with Yu Fangfang. She also came over to Yang Zheng and said, My chicken is also well raised. Although it's not as big as Wanshu's, it has grown for a few months and now weighs 3 pounds. She was shameless and asked Lin Wanshu for a pair of chicks. Knowing that Lin Wanshu had a rooster, she did not keep any chickens for breeding and directly castrated the male one, which grew very fast. The others who didn't get the rooster were immediately extremely envious. I don't know when my little hen will hatch chicks. Because Lin Wanshu's chicken breed is so special, the army does not limit the number of chickens that can be raised. The military wives can raise as many chicks as they can hatch. Those that cannot be raised will be recycled by the army in order to expand the breeding scale. Since being allowed to raise unlimited chickens, the wives of the military personnel have been as excited as ever, trying their best to hatch a nest of chicks as soon as possible. But so far, none of them has successfully hatched its first brood. After all, what they got was the second batch of chicks. The hens had just learned to lay eggs, so they would have to wait for some time before they could hatch them. The first hen in Lin Wanshu's family is expected to lay eggs again next month. This is the efficiency of a model worker. Who wouldn't be confused when seeing this? Several people gathered around the chicken, talking to each other. The chicken seemed to sense danger and kept shrinking under the stool. But this is not a problem for the battle-hardened military wives. The water boiled, Tang Qian reached out her hand and reached back, and the chicken was caught in her hand. When Feng Qiuyan saw that everyone was preparing to kill a chicken and cook, she collected her thoughts and hurried over to help. Someone was killing chickens, so she helped pick beans. Because there were many people coming today, the military wives prepared a lot of vegetables. There was a huge bundle of beans alone, and it would probably take more than 10 minutes to pick them. The kitchen was too crowded, so Feng Qiuyan put the beans in a basket and took them outside to pick. The beans are not sprayed with pesticides, the insects are caught by hand. Therefore, there are quite a few insect holes on it. Feng Qiuyan lowered her head and broke the beans one by one, peeling off the fibers on the sides. In the yard, the children were playing war games again. Do Hua was holding a wooden gun in her hand, which Lu Jingsong had made for her 10 days ago. Feng Qiuyan listened to her daughter's carefree voice, and a complex emotion flashed in her eyes. There is heartache and reluctance. Among the group of playing children, Feng Jianxi seemed particularly silent. Being shot by Miao Miao, he fell to the ground and never got up again. Xiao Miao Miao was shocked when she saw this. Without caring about the war game, she quickly ran forward and pushed his arm. "Brother, get up." But Feng Jianxi was feeling depressed and didn't want to open his eyes at all. Even though Xiao Miao Miao pushed him a few times, he still kept his eyes tightly closed. Xiao Miao Miao saw that he couldn't get up. She thought she had really hurt him and suddenly became anxious. He ran to find help. It happened that Xinyu was closest to her, so Xiao Miao Miao took his hand and came to Feng Jianxi. "Hurry up and save him." Xinyu looked at Feng Jianxi lying motionless on the ground. For the first time, he, who had always loved to play and make noises, was silent. Without saying a word, he sat next to Feng Jianxi. After a while, Shen Xi also came over. Has always been a sinister person and likes to cheat others, also kept silent. Xiao Miao Miao looked at this, then looked at that, and her little eyebrows were almost wrinkled. Why didn't they save brother Jianxi? Seeing that no one was helping, she moved closer to Feng Jianxi and said in a baby voice, "Don't be afraid, brother. I'll bandage you." She has seen movies, and that's how it's played out in movies. If you are injured, just bandage it. After hearing Miao Miao's comforting words, Feng Jianxi finally opened his eyes. But his eyes looked a little red. Qin Jiao. Hearing this strange yet familiar name, Miao Miao blinked. It took him a while to realize that someone was calling him, so he raised his little hand and shouted, "Here," in a baby voice. Feng Jianxi sat up and looked at Xiao Miao Miao with his red eyes. "Brother Jianxi is leaving. You must not forget me in the future, understand?" Although his eyes were red, Feng Jianxi remembered his father's words firmly. "A man bleeds, not tears. How sad you are. You can't cry." Miao Miao was still young and didn't know what separation meant. She only knew that Feng Jianxi was crying. She stretched out her little hands and hugged Feng Jianxi like her mother usually hugged her. "Don't cry, brother." Shen Xi saw this. He instinctively wanted to take a step forward. But I don't know what he was thinking about, he just endured it. Xinyu's eyes also turned red. Unable to hold back, he imitated Miao Miao, stretched out his arms and hugged Feng Jianxi and Miao Miao together. "Jianxi, don't be sad. At worst, I can give you my courage. You can take it with you and think of it as me accompanying you." Brave is the parrot raised by Xinyu, his favorite, and he is reluctant to give it away even to Miao Miao. It can be seen that he really can't bear to part with his brothers. No matter how mature Feng Jianxi was, he was just a kindergarten kid. When he heard that Shen Yu wanted to give him the parrot, he immediately forgot about his sadness. Really, you really want to give me your courage? Raised by Shen Yu is not only beautiful, but can also talk. He treats it like a baby. Even Meow Meow can only look at it and is not allowed to touch it. Shen Yu regretted the moment he impulsively said he would give the pet as a gift. But when he saw that Feng Jianxi finally stopped crying, he gritted his teeth, hardened his heart, and nodded.
Well,
I give it to you. Be a man and keep your word. Xiao Meow Meow also knew that Yonggan was a parrot. When she heard that Shen Yu was going to give the parrot to Feng Jianxi, she was extremely envious. Meow Meow wants one too. Pulling Shen Yu's clothes with both hands, she looked at him eagerly.
Shen Yu.
My head hurts. Brave was given to him by his grandfather during the Chinese New Year. Where did he get such a parrot for her? At this moment, Shen Xiai, who had been silent all this time, spoke. Meow Meow, I know where I can find one. I'll bring one back for you next time. Feng Jianxi. Suddenly, I felt that the parrot that was about to be obtained was not so attractive anymore.
Shen Yu.
Insidious. So insidious. When Xiao Meow Meow heard that Shen Xiai had a parrot, she immediately smiled. Without bothering to bandage Feng Jianxi's wound, she happily ran towards Shen Xiai. Where? My uncle will deliver it in 2 days. Meow Meow, please be patient and wait. Meow Meow didn't know how long 2 days was, but she knew what it meant to wait. Hearing this, he nodded obediently. Good. With this interruption, Feng Jianxi's sadness was somewhat alleviated. It just so happened that Lin Wanshu was going to make grilled fish, so he volunteered to help. Sister, I'll grill some fish for you later. He must make the most delicious grilled fish, so that his sister will never forget his cooking skills. When she heard about grilled fish, Xiao Meow Meow swallowed subconsciously. I want grilled fish. Feng Jianxi is now the main cook at home. At such a young age, she would stand on a stool and cook at the stove. If she didn't do it right, she would run over to ask Lin Wanshu. After working for half a year, his level has made a qualitative leap. Yu Fangfang is a person who loves her son, so she naturally doesn't think there is anything wrong with such a young son cooking. Feng Yandong believes that boys should be hardworking, and he naturally has no objection to his son learning to cook from a young age. Lin Wanshu was also aware of their family's situation. When she heard that Xiao Jianxi wanted to make grilled fish, she did not stop him and handed him a prepared fish. Xiao Jianxi got the fish. He happily walked back home, followed by 6 or 7 children, all of whom went to watch him grill the fish. Yu Fangfang still had some conscience. She was afraid that he might get burned accidentally while making the fire, so she followed him back. Bring the fish over after it's grilled. The children had finished running, and the yard suddenly became a lot emptier. After Feng Qiuyan picked the beans, she started picking water spinach. As I was picking them, suddenly, a burning gaze came towards me from the door. Feng Qiuyan saw the familiar figure out of the corner of her eye, and her breath paused, and her action of picking vegetables also paused slightly. How come he came here? Just as I was thinking this, I heard Lin Wanshu greet me enthusiastically. Captain Lu, you're here?
Come in and sit down.
Lu Jingsong couldn't remember how many days it had been since he last saw Feng Qiuyan. Seeing her picking vegetables seriously in the corner, his eyes seemed to be glued to her and he couldn't move them away. Hearing Lin Wanshu's voice, he barely came back to his senses. Thank you.
Thank you, sister-in-law.
I just caught a rabbit and brought it here to make a snack for everyone. As he spoke, he raised the big fat rabbit in his hand. Lin Wanshu saw this. She naturally couldn't help but scold him, and then she welcomed the person in. She is popular in the family compound, and most of the people who are on good terms with Feng Yandong and his wife are also familiar with her. When she invites people to dinner, she usually invites couples. Feng Qiuyan didn't know Lin Wanshu's rules, and when Lin Wanshu called Lu Jingsong, Feng Qiuyan was not there. She also didn't know that the couple had a conflict, so the couple, who hadn't seen each other for 7 or 8 days, finally met at her house. Lu Jingsong carried the rabbit and followed Lin Wanshu into the yard. A pair of eyes looked vaguely towards the person in the corner. Fang Qiuyan pursed her lips. Not wanting to see him, she simply turned around and pretended not to see him. A hint of disappointment flashed across Lu Jingsong's eyes. But there were so many people, he couldn't do anything. What's more, the regiment commander and deputy regiment commander were both busy. So how could a small company commander like him not have the nerve to work? Reluctantly looking away, he picked up the rabbit, asked Lin Wanshu for some tools, and started to work on the rabbit. After a while, Nanjing and his wife and Su Menjing also came over, and they did not come empty-handed. Lin Wanshu enthusiastically ushered the person in. As soon as Su Menjing entered the yard, she couldn't help but search for Qin Yan's figure. But there is no need to look for him, because his appearance is so outstanding. She immediately saw Qin Yan chopping bones in the yard. I saw him waving the machete, and with a few slashes of the knife, the big bones were easily chopped into pieces. His technique was so skillful that it seemed as if he was not chopping big bones, but cucumbers. Although it was just a bone-chopping action, Su Menjing was still fascinated by it. During these 7 or 8 days, she came here every few days. Although she couldn't see Qin Yan most of the time, as she got to know him better, Su Menjing's fascination shifted from his appearance to his abilities. He is indeed a man of great luck, as he was able to save so many comrades from almost certain death and still survived successfully. Even the leg that was nearly amputated was restored to its original state. Qin Yan once again noticed that unusually burning gaze. His bone-chopping action paused slightly, and then an indescribable disgust flashed in his eyes. Who was squatting beside him washing fish, keenly felt a chill and couldn't help shivering. He looked at his brother strangely and found that he did not look very well. Who annoyed him off? Su Mingqi didn't notice Su Menjing's thoughts, so he smiled at Lin Wanshu and said, "My sister, and you really get along well. She urged me to bring her to see you early in the morning." Lin Wanshu did not comment on Su Mingqi's words. Although Su Menjing did come to see her often, she could still sense her absent-mindedness hidden beneath her enthusiastic smile. However, she did not point it out, but greeted people politely. "Guests are welcome. Today is a farewell party for Yu Fangfang, and she doesn't want it to be ruined. Dishes to cook today that it was not until 3 o'clock in the afternoon that I finally finished them. There were so many people that everyone brought 3 tables and more than 20 stools from their neighbors. 3 octagonal tables were put together to form a long table. The remaining seat is for the children to sit on. Every table was filled with sumptuous dishes. Even the grilled fish made by Feng Jianxi was served. When they saw the delicious grilled fish, "Fang Fang, how did you give birth to your child? How can he be so outstanding?" Yang Zheng said with envy. Hearing this, Yu Fangfang chuckled, without any embarrassment on her face. "That's easy. If you're a little lazy, he'll naturally become diligent." Yang Zheng. I really can't learn anything. She would feel guilty for ordering such a young kid to do so much work. It turned out that she was born to be a hard worker, and there were some blessings that she could not enjoy. While chatting and laughing, Lin Wanshu had already asked everyone to sit down. Those who came were all couples, so they naturally sat together. When it was Fang Qiuyan's turn, she was full of resistance and didn't want to sit next to Lu Jingsong at all. But she knew very well that today's meal was for Yu Fangfang and her husband. No matter how reluctant she was, she couldn't cause unhappiness at this time. It wasn't until she sat next to him that Lu Jingsong finally relaxed his held breath. After not seeing each other for so many days, he realized that he couldn't stand her avoiding him like this. Sniffing her scent greedily, Lu Jingsong finally felt as if he were alive again. I don't know what he was thinking about, but he restrained himself from approaching her. Fang Qiuyan frowned and subconsciously moved her body towards Yang Zheng next to her. Yang Zheng is a chatterbox. As soon as Fang Qiuyan came over, she started chatting with her. Was completely ignored, suddenly felt depressed. Lin Wanshu didn't notice the undercurrents between the couple. After everyone was seated, she went back to the kitchen. Sun Shifeng hurriedly followed. "Wanshu, what do you want?" "Just let Mom get it." Although in my hometown, it is normal for pregnant women who are about to give birth to work in the fields. But Lin Wanshu was born delicate, so she subconsciously took better care of her. Lin Wanshu now gets along with her mother-in-law like real mother and daughter, so naturally, she wasn't polite to her. "That's great, Mom, help me get that jar of medicinal wine out." She pointed to the jar of wine in the corner. Heard that she was going to take the wine out to entertain people. She immediately felt distressed. "This is good stuff. I don't know how she made it, but drinking this wine can not only replenish qi and blood, but also relieve back and leg pain. How could she bear to give all this good medicinal wine to them?" Lin Wanshu saw her mother-in-law's expression. She knew what she was thinking and was immediately at a loss whether to laugh or cry. "Mom, I have a few more jars of this medicine. I asked my eldest brother to take a jar back with him last time. Don't be reluctant to part with it. Have a drink later." Heard that she had brewed several more jars of tea. She couldn't help but be amazed. "This is so much." She was so stingy that she didn't want to drink it, for fear that there wouldn't be anything left for the old man at home after she finished it. Unexpectedly, the daughter-in-law had already given Qin Hua a jar. And she did all this without ever taking credit for it. What a wonderful daughter-in-law. I can't find her even with a lantern. No wonder, even though I introduced so many potential partners to my son, he refused to come back to see any of them. Just by mentioning Lin Wanshu's name, he ran back overnight. Knowing that there was still a lot of this medicinal wine, Sun Shifeng generously took out the whole jar. Lin Wanshu took out a bottle and poured out a bottle of crystal-clear red wine from another jar. The wine was brought out. The military wives were all extremely curious. "Wanwan, what are you holding in your hand?" Without caring about chatting, Yang Zheng asked impatiently.
"This is fruit wine.
I specially prepared it. It has the effect of beautifying and nourishing the skin." Heard that it could beautify and nourish the skin, they immediately became excited. If someone else said this, they would definitely not believe it. But who is Lin Wanshu? Not only is she an excellent doctor, she can also make skincare products. As for the effect, just look at Fang Qiuyan, and you will know she is a walking advertisement. Just half a year, a pale and thin woman can become radiant and beautiful. Which woman wouldn't be tempted by such means? When the military wives heard Lin Wanshu say that the fruit wine in her hand could also beautify the skin, they all flocked to it. Regardless of whether they could drink or not, everyone expressed their desire for a drink. Lin Wanshu also fell to them one by one. But when it was He Wenju's turn, she didn't pour it for her. "Wenju, bear with it for a few more months. I'll send you another bottle after you give birth and finish your confinement." Knowing that she liked to drink, Lin Wanshu comforted her. He Wenju felt a little disappointed, but what else could she do for the little one in her belly? Qiu Yom kept his attention on his wife, fearing that she would suddenly feel like having a drink. Now that he saw she didn't drink, he breathed a sigh of relief and leaned his head to whisper something in her ear. "Good wife, I will drink with you again in the future." He Wenju blushed and couldn't help pinching his thigh under the table. Even after being pinched, Qiu Yong grinned and seemed to be enjoying it. He Wenju. Shameless. He turned his head away and ignored him. Lin Wanshu fell down, and only Yang Zheng and Fang Qiuyan were left. After pouring a glass for Yang Zheng, she looked at Fang Qiuyan, who was in a trance, and asked with a raised eyebrow, "Qiuyan, would you like some? This wine is sour and sweet, not spicy." Fang Qiuyan looked at the crystal-clear fruit wine in her hand, with a hint of excitement on her face. But when she thought that Lu Jingsong was right next to her, she endured it. But before she could shake her head to refuse, Yang Zheng picked up her cup and placed it in front of Lin Wanshu. "Of course I have to drink it. How can we usually see such a good thing? Today, I am blessed by Fang Fang. It would be a waste if I don't drink a glass. Come on, Wanshu, pour her some." Hearing this, Lin Wanshu didn't say anything more and poured her a glass directly. Fang Qiuyan. She couldn't refuse the invitation and didn't want to spoil the fun, so she didn't say anything about not wanting to drink. Who was standing by, looked at the wine in front of her with an expression that seemed to want to say something but was hesitant. Fang Qiuyan ignored his gaze and didn't even look at him from beginning to end. Yang Zheng couldn't wait to take a sip of the wine, and it was just as Lin Wanshu said, sour and sweet, without any astringency. Good things should naturally be shared with friends. On the left was her husband, who was drinking medicinal wine. There was nothing much to say, so she moved closer to Feng Qiuyan and said excitedly, "Qiuyan, try it. This wine is not strong and tastes good." Hearing that the alcohol content was not high, Feng Qiuyan felt relieved and picked up the wine glass and took a sip. Sure enough, it is sour and sweet, not spicy, and very delicious. How about it? Yang Zheng was still waiting for her feedback and was looking at her expectantly. Meeting her sparkling eyes, Feng Qiuyan felt much better. Pursing her lips and smiling, she nodded. "It's delicious." Hearing this, Yang Zheng said contentedly, "Fortunately, I asked Wan Shu to pour you a cup, otherwise you would have missed out on something good." Feng Qiuyan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Who was standing by, heard her talking and laughing with the military wife, and she had no intention of paying any attention to him at all. He felt mixed emotions. On the other side, Su Menjing originally wanted to sit next to Qin Yan, but his brother-in-law had already taken Su Mingqi to sit next to Feng Yandong, and there was an empty seat next to them, which was obviously reserved for her. No matter how anxious Su Menjing was, she couldn't just ignore other people's eyes and run to sit next to Qin Yan. It would be too obvious. Fortunately, her position was facing Qin Yan. A few days ago, and her constipation was relieved, and the pimples on her face also disappeared. Now she found her confidence again. Holding the wine glass, she posed gracefully according to Chi-Chi's advice. After taking a sip of the wine, she exclaimed with enjoyment, "The wine has a rich aroma, a long aftertaste, and the fragrance goes straight to the palate, filling the entire mouth and nose. It's a great wine." As soon as these words were spoken, the people who were chatting suddenly fell silent. Everyone couldn't help but look towards her. Su Menjing subconsciously sat up straight to make herself look more elegant. The flowing eyes were directed towards Qin Yan intentionally or unintentionally. He must be amazed by his own talent, right? Just as I was thinking this, I heard Yu Fengfeng's somewhat surprised voice. "Comrade Su, isn't that bayberry juice? Can you taste the flavor of wine? How amazing! I'll try it too." As she spoke, she picked up the cup used for juice next to her wine glass. It turned out that Lin Wanshu not only prepared fruit wine today, but also cooked a pot of bayberry juice with bayberries, specially for the children and the military wives to drink. Although the colors look similar, juice and wine are served in two different cups. After hearing this, Su Menjing suddenly realized that the way people looked at her was not with appreciation and admiration, but with strange surprise. In an instant, Su Menjing's heart was filled with an ominous premonition. She lowered her head in panic and saw, as expected, 2 cups of liquid of different colors in front of her. Boom! Her face swelled up into the color of liver. It turned out that Su Menjing was in a hurry to show off herself, and she had never drunk alcohol before, so when she heard them say that the wine was sour, sweet, and not spicy, she did not doubt it and just copied the wine-tasting sentence given by Chi-Chi and recited it. Not only did she fail to impress Qin Yan, but she also lost face in front of everyone. "Chi-Chi, why didn't you tell me that this cup is juice?" When she came to her senses, she cursed angrily in her mind. What responded to her was Chi-Chi's extremely specious voice. "How do I know you can't even tell the difference between wine and juice? No matter how mildly spicy the wine is, it is still wine, and it has a unique alcoholic flavor." So embarrassing that Chi-Chi felt like her toes were about to dig out a 3-story villa for her. How could someone be so stupid? She didn't know how to adapt at all. She just followed what she taught. Su Mingqi didn't expect that his sister would do such a thing, and he felt extremely embarrassed. But she was her sister after all, and she couldn't just sit there and do nothing while she got into trouble. Thinking of this, she quickly spoke up to smooth things over. Menjing was just joking with everyone. She likes to play pranks in private. But to be honest, the fruit wine made by Wan Shu is really good. Let's raise our glasses to congratulate Comrade Feng Yandong on his further success in his career. Although this attempt to smooth things over was very forced, but now that things had come to this, for her sake, everyone could not openly laugh at Su Menjing anymore, so they raised their glasses and congratulated Feng Yandong. Became lively again. has already become socially dead, wishes she could disappear right there. But she knew that if she ran away now, she would only be put in an even more embarrassing situation. By staying where she was, at least she could prove that she was joking. Although no one would believe it, for the sake of their brother-in-law and sister, they had to acknowledge this statement even if they didn't believe it. Finally, Su Menjing, who originally wanted to come and surprise Qin Yan, now just hopes that he doesn't notice her. Sitting opposite him, she felt very uncomfortable. How could she be in the mood to charming anyone? Lin Wanshu couldn't drink alcohol, so she just drank some bayberry juice. Bayberry is in abundance this season. It is very sour when eaten alone, but if you boil it in water with rock sugar and let it cool, it will become sour and sweet and very appetizing. She was already used to Su Menjing's pretentiousness and didn't take it to heart. She just drank the juice and ate the food. Qin Yan chatted and drank with his male comrades and did not forget to pick out fish meat and bones for his wife. His considerate look, Su Menjing felt as if her heart was being gnawing at by ants. But everyone at the table was chatting animatedly and no one paid any attention to her. But Su Menjing was right about one thing. The medicinal wine brewed by Lin Wanshu is indeed mellow in taste and has a long aftertaste, making people want to take a second sip after taking one. Fruit wine is mellow and sweet, with a rich fruity aroma. It leaves a lingering fragrance on your lips and teeth after drinking it, leaving you with an endless aftertaste. The most important thing is that she generously took out a lot of such good wine. He also said that it was enough and you could drink as much as you wanted. Everyone drank and ate, and kept praising Lin Wanshu's wine. When Su Menjing saw the woman opposite her who was being treated like a celebrity, her face almost distorted with jealousy. What's so great? Isn't it because of her luck that she is loved by so many people? After she takes away her luck, will those people still care about her? Su Menjing was secretly calculating in her heart, with a sinister gleam in her eyes. But she lowered her head and no one noticed her gaze. There was wine and delicious food, and the meal lasted until 7 or 8 o'clock. Lin Wanshu's belly was big, and everyone was very tactful and spontaneously packed up their things before leaving. Yu Fongfong also got a small jar of medicinal wine and a bottle of fruit wine. Holding the wine Lin Wanshu gave her like a treasure, she said with a touching look on her face, "Wan, I knew that the person you love most is me. Qin Yan. Feng Yandong." The two men didn't say anything, but their actions were surprisingly consistent as they separated their wives. It was as if they were afraid that if they stayed any longer, they would become redundant. Feng Chuyen just drank 2 glasses of wine. Strangely enough, I didn't feel any alcohol content in the wine when I drank it. But after drinking it, the aftereffects started to set in. Although she is still conscious now, her movements have become a little slow. Walking feels like walking on cotton, so light and fluttery. Lu Jingsong could tell at a glance that she was drunk. Seeing the woman who seemed to be floating even when she was walking, he didn't care about anything else and went forward to support her. However, as soon as he stretched out his hand, she dodged as if she had eyes all over her body and avoided his support. "Don't touch me," Feng Qiuyan said coldly. Lu Jingsong's hand froze in the air awkwardly. Looking at the woman with a face full of resistance, his heart suddenly felt like it was stuffed with a ball of cotton, making it hard for him to breathe. Feng Qiuyan didn't care about him. Although she was indeed drunk, she was terribly clear-headed. She remembered Feng Dongxue writing him a letter, and also remembered his silence. Even though her hands and feet were weak, she still gritted her teeth and supported herself, walking home step by step. Lu Jingsong thought that his heart would never hurt more than it did now. But when he saw that she was obviously so drunk that her SP was slow, but she still straightened her back and tried to walk as steadily as possible so as not to give him the chance to support her, he realized what it meant to cut flesh with a blunt knife. I don't know when my hands clenched into fists again and my nails dug into the flesh again. But it can't relieve the pain in my heart at all. Looking at her strong and lonely figure, he wanted to hug her regardless of anything several times. However, he knew in his heart that he was not qualified. The next day after receiving the letter, Feng Dongxue called the army. implying that she wanted him to return to the brigade as soon as possible and be responsible for her. She also said that if he didn't come back, she would take her son and die immediately. Naturally, Lu Jingsong was extremely unwilling to do this. But he was the one who had let Fong Dongxue down in the first place, and he couldn't just ignore her life or death. It's not that he still has feelings for her, it's just purely out of humanitarian concern. However, even so, Lu Jingsong knew in his heart how much harm such concern would cause to Fong Qiuyan. Because he didn't know how to face her, Lu Jingsong once again let her hide from him. It wasn't until today, when Lin Wanshu invited him to dinner, that he finally couldn't hold back his longing for her. After catching a rabbit, he couldn't wait to rush to the battalion commander's house. However, what awaited him was her indifference and rejection. Lu Jingsong knew he deserved it. Even though he was still facing Fong Dongxue's entanglement, he still couldn't control his desire to see him. Being ignored and excluded at this moment is what he deserves. But even though I knew it, the pain in my heart was becoming more and more unbearable. Lu Jingsong didn't know what to do. Follow her blankly, like a puppet. Fong Qiuyan finally got home, and her feet didn't seem so weak anymore, so she went to boil water for a bath. Seeing this, Lu Jingsong no longer cared about the sadness in his heart and stepped forward to help her, but still was coldly rejected. "Please stay away from me." Hearing this, Lu Jingsong froze on the spot. He looked at her straight in the eyes, but did not dare to move his hands at all. Fong Qiuyan bit her tongue, and the pain seemed to relieve her drunkenness. Taking advantage of this moment of clarity, she quickly washed the pot, filled it with water, and then lit a fire and put it in the stove to start burning. Everything went so smoothly that you couldn't tell she was drunk. Lu Jingsong stood there blankly, watching her busying around. Soon the water was boiled. Fong Qiuyan's drunkenness had dissipated a little. She mixed hot water with cold water, and when she was done, she carried half a bucket of water into the shower room. During this process, every time Lu Jingsong wanted to say something or do something to her, he was discouraged by Fong Qiuyan's cold gaze. After taking a quick shower, Fong Qiuyan was almost sober. After giving Do Hua another bath, the mother and daughter hid back in the house again. Do Hua finally realized that something was wrong with his parents these days. So young, she didn't know what to do. She wanted her mother to stop being angry, and she also wanted to comfort her father and tell him not to be sad. But in the end, she found that she could do nothing. Because of the depressing atmosphere at home, she, who had originally become lively and cheerful, returned to her silent and taciturn self when she first arrived at the family compound. Fong Qiuyan was much more sober now. Her sleepiness showed no sign of going away. In the end, she didn't notice anything unusual about Do Hua and just closed her eyes and fell asleep. Outside the door, Lu Jingsong stood there for almost the entire night in a self-torturing manner. It was almost dawn before he put on his military uniform again and set out for the troops. Fong Qiuyan woke up and found that Lu Jingsong was not at home. She ignored him. After making breakfast and eating tofu pudding, she picked up the hoe and prepared to go to the fields to work. Lin Wanshu has stopped collecting herbs recently, and since she is about to join a pharmaceutical factory, she has stopped going up the mountain to collect herbs. I plan to use these few days to clear out the rice straw in the rice fields and plant some sweet potatoes. As soon as I arrived at the field, I unexpectedly saw Su Menjing. Su Menjing lost face so much yesterday that Fong Qiuyan thought she would stay out of the spotlight for a few days. I didn't expect her to come to the field, but she didn't look like she was cut out for hard work. She was holding a hoe, standing in the rice field with a look of disgust on her face, digging up the straw in the field from time to time. It turned out that the early rice had been harvested and the late rice would soon be planted. The military wives have been busy working in the fields these days, and even Su Mingqi is no exception. Fong Qiuyan took just one look and then looked away. She put on her sleeves and prepared to dig up the straw. But before she could go down to the field, she heard Su Menjing's terrified scream coming from the rice field next door. There's a snake. Come and save me." Fong Qiuyan was also startled when she heard the snake. Subconsciously raised the hoe, intending to hit the snake, with a hoe if it jumped over. Seeing how brave she was, Su Menjing instinctively ran towards her. Sure enough, there was a snake 2 fingers thick following behind her. The snake moved very quickly and bit Su Menjing on her calf. Su Menjing was immediately frightened out of her wits. Screaming awe in her mouth, she dragged the snake and ran towards Feng Qiuyan. Save me.
Save me.
He grabbed Feng Qiuyan's clothes and she rescued him in panic. Originally, Feng Qiuyan was planning to kill the snake with a hoe, but now she was caught and couldn't kill the snake at all. The snake seemed to have some deep hatred towards Su Menjing, and it refused to let go after biting her. Just like that, Su Menjing had a snake wrapped around her legs, jumping, and she was so scared that she almost fainted. Let go, I can't help you like this. Feng Qiuyan, who was being held tightly by her, had a very dark face, and she spoke to Su Menjing with gritted teeth. I don't want it, please help me get it away. Why don't you help me?
I'm dying.
Why did the snake change its target even though she was holding Feng Qiuyan? Su Menjing was shocked and frightened, and she even spoke out what was in her heart so carelessly. Feng Qiuyan was almost amused by her. Raising her hand, she pushed her hard. Get out of here. I have no obligation to be bitten by a snake for you. But Su Menjing was almost scared to death. How could she dare to let go? As she pulled, 2 snapping sounds were heard, and 2 of Feng Qiuyan's buttons were torn open by her. Feng Qiuyan became even angrier. Just as she was about to lose her temper, she saw Su Menjing, who had a crazy and collapsed look on her face, standing there in a daze, staring straight at her.
Shoulder? Why?
Why do you have this birthmark here? Menjing, how are you? Su Mingqi had just carried the straw to the edge of the field when he turned around and saw that his sister had been bitten by a snake. He was immediately frightened and ran towards Su Menjing. He looked like he was going to help her drive away the snake. But the fields were full of dug-up straw heads, making it extremely difficult to walk. In a panic, Su Mingqi tripped twice. After finally rushing to Su Menjing's side, I saw a snake wrapped around her feet.
Snake.
Snake. Su Mingqi was so scared that her face turned pale, but even so, she still mustered up the courage to pull the snake's tail. He looked as if he was going to pull the snake off his sister's leg even if he was frightened to death. Feng Qiuyan had taken advantage of Su Menjing's daze to successfully push the person away. At this moment, his hands were covering his collar, and his face turned red and black with anger. When Su Menjing saw Su Mingqi coming to save her, she no longer cared about whether she had a birthmark or not. To change the target, she grabbed Su Mingqi's hair randomly, stomped her feet, and cried, Sister, please help me, please help me. I am about to be bitten to death by a snake. Su Mingqi was already bent over to help her catch the snake, and was very close to her legs. When Su Menjing struggled, the snake almost hit her face, and her hair was caught, so she couldn't hide. She was already scared, and now she was almost scared to death. In the end, Tang Qian sprinkled a handful of sulfur on Su Menjing's legs, and the snake finally let go. Feng Qiuyan was quick-witted and swung the hoe to smash the snake to death. But the snake was also magical. The moment the hoe was swung down, it suddenly jumped out and ran away. Feng Qiuyan's hoe hit nothing. What kind of snake is it? Why is it so powerful? Tang Qian couldn't help but patted her chest. It's a pit viper, it's poisonous. Heard that it was a poisonous snake, her eyes went dark. Sister, save me. Send me to the hospital quickly. I don't want to die. Su Menjing grabbed Su Mingqi's clothes tightly, completely forgetting that she almost shoved the snake into Su Mingqi's face. But Su Mingqi still remembers it. She was most afraid of snakes in her life. If it weren't for saving Su Menjing, she would never have caught a snake's tail. However, she never expected that her beloved sister would treat her like this. She afraid that the snake will bite her face? Su Mingqi thought of this. He felt extremely chilled. But human life was at stake, so she didn't say anything. She just half knelt down and motioned for her to lie down. I'll carry you to find one's shoe. She must have a way. Su Menjing was now scared to death, so she didn't say anything, and just lay on her back. The two have quite different body shapes. One is tall and has a big frame, while the other has a small frame and is petite. As Su Menjing pressed forward, Su Mingqi almost staggered. It was only after Tang Qian reached out and helped her that she was able to stabilize her body. "Sister, let's go." As soon as she lay on Su Mingqi's back, Su Menjing couldn't wait to urge him. Su Mingqi pursed his lips, said nothing, and walked out of the field with her on his back. But Su Menjing behind her was really heavy, and the road was difficult to walk on, so she staggered and almost knocked Su Menjing down several times. Su Menjing was so frightened that her face turned pale. She hugged her neck tightly with both hands, strangling Su Mingqi so hard that she almost rolled her eyes.
Meng.
"Ing, please. Let go." A little. Was strangled to the point of being unable to breathe, and he barely uttered a few words. "I don't want it. I'm about to fall. It's all your fault. If you hadn't asked me to do the work, how could I have been bitten by the snake?" Speaking of this, Su Menjing was full of complaints. Her parents at home didn't even want her to wash the dishes, but they asked her to go to the fields? Hearing this, Su Mingqi's face showed some disbelief. Didn't she say she wanted to stay here and experience her life? How come I ended up being the one to blame? Listening to Su Menjing's angry curse, Su Mingqi suddenly felt that she was extremely unfamiliar. In the end, she didn't say anything else, but gritted her teeth and carried her back home. Lin Wanshu heard that Su Menjing was bitten by a snake. She did not delay and quickly drained the poisonous blood from her wound and fed her an antidote pill. Su Mingqi watched from the side, silent. She was strangled all the way and almost suffocated. Her eyes were a little dazed and no one knew what she was thinking. Lin Wanshu treated Su Menjing's wound and fed her medicine. She motioned for her to stretch out her hand so that she could take her pulse. Although she had squeezed out the poisonous blood and taken medicine, Su Menjing still felt uncomfortable all over, with dizziness, nausea, weakness in her limbs, and chills all over. She was afraid that she would confess, so when she heard Lin Wanshu ask to take her pulse, she quickly stretched out her hand. Lin Wanshu felt Su Menjing's pulse. She felt the strange parasitic thing from last time. That was originally so weak that it was about to dissipate at any time, now seems to have become a lot thicker after a period of parasitism. I don't know if it's because of this that the SPE-PED at which it absorbs energy has increased. What on earth is this? What exactly did it absorb? Why didn't Su Menjing show any other symptoms of weakness besides being poisoned by the snake? Seeing that she was silent again, Su Menjing thought that the poison had invaded her internal organs and was immediately frightened. "How is it? Is my poison incurable?" After asking this, she felt that she was having difficulty breathing. Su Menjing collapsed when she thought that she might die from the poison. Turning her head, she glared at Su Mingqi and cursed resentfully. "It's all your fault. Why did you make me go to the fields to work? You did it on purpose, didn't you? You're jealous of how good my parents are to me, and if I die, you can have them all to yourself, right?" Hearing this, Su Mingqi's face was full of disbelief. "What makes you think that? She good enough to her?" Every year she would send her food and clothes, and even a piece of beautiful fabric that she couldn't bear to make clothes herself would be left for her. The result was such accusations from her? "You're still saying no? You've always been good at pretending since you were little. Everyone else is playing, but you're either studying or doing housework every day. Don't you just want to steal my parents' attention because they're treating me well?" The fear of death was infinitely magnified, and Su Menjing began to speak more and more without thinking. Su Mingqi didn't expect that her sister, whom she had always cherished in her heart, actually thought of her like this. The shock in my heart cannot be described in words. And just at this moment, Lin Wanshu finally finished taking the pulse. When she took her hand back, she couldn't help but feel sympathy for Su Mingqi. He's a nice guy. How could he have a sister like this? Your poison has been controlled. You are not in danger of death. You just need to rest for a few days. As Lin Wanshu spoke, she prescribed medicine for Su Menjing. Hearing this, Su Menjing, who was still hysterical, was stunned for a moment, and the cursing involuntarily stopped.
"You."
"What did you say? I won't die?" Su Menjing asked with trembling lips. Lin Wanshu was still picking up medicine. When she heard this, she didn't even look up. She said calmly, "Comrade Mingqi brought it in just in time." The venom didn't penetrate into the internal organs. Then why didn't she say it earlier? Su Menjing was furious. It was all her fault for playing tricks, which made me so angry with Su Mingqi. When Su Menjing thought of the words she had just said accidentally, her face turned purple. Meeting Su Mingqi's disappointed gaze, she couldn't help but feel flustered.
Sister.
Sister, listen to me. I was so scared just now that I talked nonsense. That's not true. Waking up, Su Menjing knew that she couldn't scold Lin Wanshu, otherwise she would never be able to come to her house again. At the same time, she also had to coax Su Mingqi and make her forget what she had just said. But what she had done one after another today had already made Su Mingqi extremely disappointed. How could it be reversed with just a few words? "I'll help you go home. Once you've recovered, you can go back in a few days," Su Mingqi said with some tiredness. Hearing this, Su Menjing immediately became anxious. "Sister, I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. Please don't send me back." If she goes back, how can she have a chance to win over Qin Yan? He was a man of great fortune. As long as she could win him over, she wouldn't have to worry about the wealth and glory of the rest of her life. And there is Lin Wanshu. She hurt me so badly. How can I get rid of the hatred in my heart if I don't take away her luck? When Su Menjing thought about losing such a great opportunity because of this, she was suddenly overwhelmed with grief and cried so sincerely. Although Su Mingqi was heartbroken that Su Menjing said that about her, after all, they had been friends for many years, and she still felt a little bit sorry when she saw her crying so sadly. "I'm not rushing you back, but I really don't have time. I have to plant rice during this period and can't take care of you. Your parents are waiting for you at home. You should go back." Although he still didn't give in, Su Mingqi's voice sounded a lot softer. Seeing that she insisted on letting her go back, Su Menjing suddenly became furious. In his heart, he couldn't help but make a note of Lin Wanshu. She must have done that on purpose. Now that she sees that there is a rift between her and Su Mingqi, she must be so happy. But all these resentments were suppressed by Su Menjing. "You can't lose your temper anymore, otherwise the situation will only get worse." Thinking of this, she didn't say anything. She planned to take advantage of these few days of rest to comfort Su Mingqi. Anyway, Su Mingqi is so stupid and easily influenced, she believes it won't be difficult to coax her. How could Lin Wanshu not know that Su Menjing had such great malice towards her? The reason why she allowed her to come to her house with a purpose was just to find out what it was that could absorb energy from her. Looking at Su Menjing's expression, which she thought she had concealed well, she couldn't help but smile coldly in her heart. And since Lin Wanshu said that she was fine, Su Menjing felt that the symptoms of dizziness, nausea, and chills had disappeared. Taking some medicine, she heard Su Mingqi say that he would help her go home. Because she felt guilty, Su Menjing didn't dare to refuse, and just left as she wished. However, not long after the two of them walked out of Lin Wanshu's house, they ran into Fang Qiuyan, who was about to go home to change clothes. When he saw her, Su Mingqi was stunned at first, and then he remembered the scene in the field just now. Suddenly, my heart was filled with regret. "Comrade Fang, my sister has been spoiled since she was a child. I apologize to you on her behalf for any offense I have caused you just now." Although he was very disappointed with Su Menjing, Su Mingqi still had to clean up her mess. Because in the eyes of others, they are a family. If Su Menjing offends someone, she will just walk away in a few days, leaving me to bear the consequences of my actions. Fang Qiuyan had just witnessed with her own eyes how Su Mingqi disregarded danger and endured fear to save Su Menjing, and how Su Menjing put her in danger and blamed her afterwards. Hearing that Su Mingqi wanted to apologize on behalf of Su Menjing, she felt inexplicably complicated. It doesn't matter. Fang Qiuyan envied Su Menjing for having such a good sister. Therefore, although she hated Su Menjing's personality, for Su Mingqi's sake, she didn't intend to argue with her about it. Who was listening to the two people talking, felt an indescribable discomfort in her heart. especially when she thought of the strangely shaped birthmark on Fang Qiuyan's shoulder. She became extremely irritated. It seemed like something was developing in a direction she couldn't accept. Fang Qiuyan said a few words to Su Mingqi and then said goodbye and left, but Su Menjing's eyes were fixed on her back. The more she looked at it, the more uncomfortable she felt. She frowned and said to Su Mingqi, "Sister, I want to ask you something." Su Mingqi's gaze was still following Fang Qiuyan's figure. Hearing this, she responded absent-mindedly. "What's up?" Su Mingqi seldom walked around the staff quarters before and was mostly busy with his own affairs. She had hardly ever met this new military wife. All I heard was that she came from the countryside, had a hard life before, and behaved timidly. But when she met him yesterday, she found that it was not the case at all. Not only is he graceful and elegant, he also has an indescribable scholarly air. I guess no one would doubt if he said he was a college student. The conversation just now made Su Mingqi appreciate him even more. With that kind of conversation, is it true that he has never been to school? Su Menjing saw that she was also staring at Fang Qiuyan, and her hands unconsciously clenched into fists. After taking a deep breath, she spoke slowly. "Does Mom have a birthmark on her shoulder?" After hearing this, Su Mingqi finally came back to her senses. Looking at Su Menjing with a tense expression, she couldn't help but feel a little strange. Although I don't know why she asked this, she is also her mother's daughter, so it's understandable that she wants to know more about her mother. "Yes, there is a birthmark on my mother's shoulder. It is in the shape of a butterfly." Hearing this, Su Menjing's pupils shrank. A huge panic surged towards her like a tide. "It's her. It must be her. Qiqi was talking about who would take away everything from her must be this woman." Before, Su Menjing didn't understand who had such great ability to take away everything from her. But at this moment, she suddenly understood something. No wonder people have said since she was a child that she looks like neither her father nor her mother, and they also secretly laughed at her for being adopted. Because of this, she felt extremely inferior. Because of fear, she often had nightmares in which she was abandoned by her parents. After waking up, Su Menjing just kept crying. It is also for this reason that her parents have taken special care of her since she was young. For her, I didn't even consider having another son. But even though she was pampered, Su Menjing always had a feeling of unease. Until now, she finally realized that her worries were not groundless. "Qiqi, tell me honestly, what is the relationship between Fang Qiuyan and me?" Su Menjing asked in a trembling voice. "Old swan, you finally found it. I was so anxious that I almost died." Qiqi spoke slowly in her mind, and it was hard to tell that she was in a hurry. Instead, Su Menjing was so angry that she died. "You know? Then why didn't you tell me so that I had to figure it out bit by bit on my own?" If she had told the truth earlier and told herself who the other person was, she might have already dealt with that person by now. Hearing this, Qiqi was somewhat speechless and said, "I also want to tell you, but your qualifications are too poor, and I am afraid that you will not be able to bear it if I reveal too much. If I wasn't so weak, how could I possibly give myself to this weakling? Not only can she not absorb much luck, but sometimes she even has to give her some. It's built and it's built. The key is that she is impossible to train. She is like a piece of wood. She can only copy and paste and can't understand anything at all." Before in the East Province, she had secretly helped her to find several marriages with good luck, but she failed to win any of them. In the end, she had no choice but to let her come to find the real daughter who was exchanged with her. Because she found that the real daughter, whose luck was almost close to zero, had suddenly become stronger recently, even surpassing the average rich kid. Qiqi's plan is to find the real daughter and then try to snatch her luck again. But Su Menjing's ability is too poor. "Not only have I not found anyone after being here for so long, but I have also lost face so many times." She felt extremely awkward just being inside her body. Seeing that she still despised her, Su Menjing was so angry that she almost vomited blood. But she didn't dare to turn against her. After all, she still had to rely on her to snatch her luck. Thinking of this, she suppressed her anger and said with a stern face, "Then tell me, What should I do now? She no longer wanted to ask herself whether she was her parents' biological daughter. She was afraid that she could not bear the result. Without definite confirmation, she could still deceive herself and pretend that this thing did not exist. It's very simple. Let her make mistakes and ruin her reputation. Then you can perform better and surpass her. As long as she loses her self-confidence and is no longer appreciated by others, her luck will be transferred to Su Menjing, whose fate is related to her. Hearing this, a hint of viciousness flashed in Su Menjing's eyes. I know what to do now. If you want to blame someone, blame her bad luck. Who made her block your way? Still want to take away everything from you? She's dreaming. Here, Su Menjing was discussing with Qiqi how to deal with Feng Qiuyan. On the other side, after Feng Qiuyan changed her clothes, Ji Hualan came over. Qiuyan, there's a call for you. It's from your hometown. Hearing this, Feng Qiuyan was stunned. Hometown? Who would call her? Her parents or Feng Dongxue? No matter who they were, Feng Qiuyan was extremely certain that they were looking for her for no good reason. Okay, I understand. She took a deep breath before following her to the communications room. She was no longer the Feng Qiuyan of the past, so she didn't have to be afraid no matter what they wanted from her. In this day and age, it costs money to make or receive a call, and the cost is not low. After the other party called, he hung up. After Feng Qiuyan arrived, Ji Hualan directly helped her call back the number she had just called. The phone beeped a few times before being picked up, and a familiar voice came from the other end. Is it Qiuyan? Feng Dongxue. It's indeed her. What does she want to do with herself? I am Qiuyan. Although her mind was filled with thousands of thoughts, Feng Qiuyan spoke in a very calm voice. Other side was obviously very anxious. After confirming that it was her, he started talking quickly. Qiuyan, I've already written to Jingsong and told him that Han Guang cheated on me and left us mother and son to go back to the city. If you still have a conscience, return Jingsong to me. After all, if you hadn't shamelessly climbed into his bed, how could I have ended up like this? After hearing this, how could Feng Qiuyan not know what was written in the letter? A moment, she didn't know whether to laugh at her for bringing it upon herself or laugh at her for being so shameless. Give it back to you? Feng Qiuyan sneered, as if the other party was telling a big joke. What exactly is Lu Jingsong in your mind? A thing that you can take when you want it and throw away when you don't want it? What do you mean? The person on the other end obviously didn't expect her to say that, or didn't expect her to refute. The voice paused for a long time before some disbelief sounded. Feng Qiuyan's eyes were filled with mockery. After a pause, she said, what it means is, was it me who climbed into his bed, or did you do something shameful? Do you need me to tell him? As soon as the words fell, there was silence again in the phone, and then Feng Dongxue's voice was heard, so sharp that it was almost out of tune. You are slandering me. What shameful thing is this? I don't understand. Stop talking nonsense to Jingsong. Do you think he will believe you? Originally, Feng Qiuyan was just suspicious about what happened that night and had no evidence at all. What she said just now was just a lie to Feng Dongxue. But now seeing how excited she was, how could she not understand? Feng Dongxue really drug herself and Lu Jingsong. It is easy to guess why she did this. She betrayed Lu Jingsong and was afraid to bear the consequences, so she pushed herself out. This way, not only can she withhold all the betrothal gifts, but she can also use Lu Jingsong's guilt to control him. Now that the educated youth she wanted to marry had abandoned her, she wanted to drive me away and get back together with Lu Jingsong? Feng Dongxue, do you think everyone is stupid and can only be manipulated by you? Thinking of everything she had gone through, Feng Qiuyan's voice was icy cold. Feng Dongxue originally thought that with Feng Qiuyan's cowardly and easily bullied character, she would be able to easily drive her away with just one phone call. But after being confronted several times in a row, she suddenly realized that something was wrong. Are you really Feng Qiuyan? How could Feng Qiuyan say such flowery words? At first glance, she seemed no different from the educated youth in the team. Hearing this, Feng Qiuyan smiled with a hint of sarcasm.
People change.
Thanks to you, I not only learned to read after joining the army, but also passed the exam to get into a pharmaceutical factory. Now, I'm about to become a worker in the pharmaceutical factory. Fong Dongxue heard this. She couldn't hold it in any longer. Impossible. How could you possibly know how to read? You must have gotten this job because of Lu Jingsong. That job should be mine. Give it back to me. Is literacy such a simple thing? You must be kidding. Without Lu Jingsong's help, how could she have entered the pharmaceutical factory and become a worker? That's work. Han Guang abandoned them and their son just for the job in the city. But Fong Chuyen could get a job just by marrying Lu Jingsong. How could she stay calm? Hearing her frantic voice, Fong Chuyen felt somewhat relieved. After a pause, she said angrily, "It is true that I got the opportunity to enter the factory because of Lu Jingsong, but so what? If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have such good luck." After saying this, Fong Dongxue was really furious. Fong Chuyen could even hear her rapid breathing. Just when she thought Fong Dongxue would lose her temper, she suddenly calmed down. "Fong Chuyen, what are you so proud of? Do you know what Lu Jingsong was like before we got married? He would send me things every month and give me money to spend. He even rushed back during his 7-day vacation just to see me. I called him a few days ago, and he promised to take care of us. If you're smart, you should leave on your own so that you don't get chased away and lose face." Hearing this, Fong Chuyen, who had been feeling somewhat happy, suddenly felt completely bored. Forget it. Why should she argue with Fong Dongxue about this? She had no intention of living with him anymore. But she was unhappy, and she didn't want Fong Dongxue to be proud. Thinking of this, Fong Chuyen sneered again. "All that is in the past. I don't care. Anyway, he treats me very well now. Not only does he cook for me and wash my clothes, he also eagerly gives me his allowance for safekeeping. Seeing that I am thin, he buys me meat every now and then. I am fed up with it." After saying this, Fong Chuyen suddenly realized that she had not exaggerated at all. She didn't even mention how nice he was to Do Hua. But what's the point of all this? He treated her well only because she was his wife. If it were Fong Dongxue today, he would definitely do the same. On the other side, Fong Dongxue went berserk after hearing these words.
Witch.
"You shameless witch. What are you so proud of? Just wait, I'm going to ask Lu Jingsong to divorce you right away." Hung up the phone before she finished scolding. Hearing the beep, beep, beep sound, Fong Dongxue almost vomited blood, slammed the microphone down, and started cursing. Like beautiful girl, are as dirty as they can be.
Hey.
What's wrong with you? How can you throw a phone like that? Do you know how much it costs to install a phone? Let me take a look. If it's broken, you have to pay for it. Even though workers these days only earn a few dozen yuan, it costs thousands of yuan to install a telephone. The reason why it is so expensive is that the country's telephone technology is backward and can only be imported from abroad. A loan costs several $100s. When Fong Dongxue heard that she had to pay for the phone, her face turned pale with fright. Without caring about being angry, she apologized in a trembling voice. I'm
sorry, comrade.
I didn't mean it. Please be magnanimous and don't bother with me." She used all her money to give Han Guang travel expenses and originally thought that he would take her and her son to the city to live a good life. Who would have thought that after he left there would be no news from him again? Fong Dongxue didn't even have $10 on her, and the phone call she just made would probably cost her several more dollars. But the staff did not listen to her and instead called a technician to carefully check the phone. Finally, after a check by the technician, it was discovered that a button was broken by her. The repair fee plus the phone bill is a total of 138 yuan. Do you want to pay it now, or do you want us to go back with you to get it? Upon hearing this, Fong Dongxue's eyes suddenly went dark and she almost fainted.
I
have no money. Where did she get the money? $138. She couldn't have that much money even if she turned her family upside down. Comrade, you should think carefully. You are intentionally destroying public property. This matter can be serious or minor. If things go wrong, you may end up in jail. When Fong Dongxue heard that she was going to be taken to the police station, her legs went limp and she collapsed to the ground. I don't want to go to jail. I can't go to jail. She's having a hard time now. If she ends up in jail, she can't imagine what the team will do to her. Suddenly, Fong Dongxue thought of Lu Jingsong again. Wait a minute, I'll call my boyfriend, he has money. Hearing this, the staff were so angry that they almost laughed. You broke the phone buttons, how can I make a call? Hurry up and go back to get the money, or we will blame you for calling the police. In the commune, and she broke it. They can't wait for her to call other places to raise money. Who knows when the money can be remitted? In the end, Fong Dongxue could only lead the group with weak legs and a pale face. But deep down, she didn't hold any hope at all. Ever since Han Guang left, her brother and sister-in-law felt embarrassed and refused to let her into the house. Although her mother felt sorry for her, she had drained all her money. For Han Guang, she could be said to have gambled everything she had. But in the end, it ended up like this. Thinking that Fong Qiuyan was not only about to become a worker but would also have meat to eat every now and then, she immediately felt very regretful. She's so obsessed and insisted on being with Han Guang. If it was me who married Lu Jingsong today, all that meat and that job would be hers. No, she has to call Lu Jingsong again. On the other side, after Fong Qiuyan hung up the phone, she went directly to Lin Wanshu's house. You said you wanted to apply to live in the pharmaceutical factory dormitory? Hearing the reason for her visit, Lin Wanshu was a little surprised. She broke the ice with Lu Jingsong a while ago. Why is she suddenly asking to live in the dormitory again? Fong Qiuyan nodded.
Well,
is it okay? If not, forget it, I'll think of another way. In fact, when Fong Dongxue sent the letter, Fong Qiuyan had already thought about moving to the dormitory, but when she saw that Do Hua liked her father so much, she held back. I thought that as long as I could avoid Lu Jingsong, there would be nothing wrong with living under the same roof. But at this moment, she found it unbearable to live under the same roof. Fong Qiuyan just wanted to leave the family compound as soon as possible and never see Lu Jingsong again. As long as they don't meet, she can quickly let go of these annoying things. Seeing her like this, Lin Wanshu finally understood why she was absent-minded yesterday. Lin Wanshu didn't want to comment too much on right or wrong, but now she refused to even stay in the family quarters, so Lin Wanshu naturally had to show some concern. What happened? Fong Qiuyan did not hide anything and said bluntly, his ex-fiancée just called me and said that her man in the city ran away and asked me to return Lu Jingsong to her. Lin Wanshu. The ex-fiancée, isn't that her younger sister Fong Dongxue? I didn't expect her to be so shameless. Lin Wanshu was speechless. So, what do you think? Didn't you tell Captain Lu about what happened that night? Hearing this, Fong Qiuyan let out a long sigh, feeling indescribably upset. I didn't say it because I didn't think it was necessary. She hated complicated relationships between men and women. If he was with her because he fell in love with Fong Dongxue after knowing her true face, then that was unnecessary. She doesn't want it. What's more, after hearing about how sweet he and Fong Dongxue were in the past, she was even less interested in it. Fong Qiuyan knew that her thoughts were abnormal, but when it came to feelings, she was stubborn to the point of being paranoid. I would rather have never had it than be involved in a complicated emotional entanglement. Hearing her say this, Lin Wanshu didn't know how to persuade her. Although they are good friends, emotional matters are like drinking water. Only the person who drinks it knows whether it is hot or cold, and no one can empathize with the other person. Of course, you can, but the wives of the soldiers living in the dormitory are not from our family compound, but are hired from outside. In addition to technicians, pharmaceutical factories also need quality inspection, procurement, accounting, sales. Some of the positions, but for some other positions, she plans to hire professionals. This means we have to recruit people directly from outside. Hearing this, Fong Qiuyan smiled. It doesn't matter, as long as I have a place to stay. She didn't expect to live in a comfortable place, nor did she expect her roommates to have gentle personalities. She just wants to get away from all this trouble now. Having said that, Lin Wanshu did not try to persuade her any further. Okay, I'll help you take a look. If she doesn't want to live there anymore, I can take it back and give it to other female comrades." Seeing that Lin Wanshu agreed, Fang Qiuyan felt as if a huge stone pressing on her heart had been removed, and her expression became a lot more relaxed. In the following days, she continued to work in the fields as usual during the day. Although she no longer planned to live in the staff housing complex, she came from a rural background and had been hungry all year round, so she couldn't just sit there and watch the land go uncultivated, even if she planted them and gave them to other military wives. However, she was very careful to avoid the time when Lu Jingsong came back. As long as he came back, she would go up the mountain to make sure she would not meet him. Apart from farming, Fang Qiuyan spends the rest of her time packing up her and Dohua's things. In fact, it doesn't matter whether Dohua collects her things or not. The factory is close to the dormitory, and she can play in the staff quarters during the day and sleep with me at night. The pharmaceutical factory will start operation in one day. Fang Qiuyan also packed up most of her things. Fortunately, she didn't have much stuff, so it was easy to pack up. She took the packed things directly to the dormitory. Although the tofu pudding was not big, she had already vaguely guessed what her mother was going to do. Suddenly, my heart felt heavy. But she didn't say anything, and just followed her mother to pack up things. To her, no matter how good her father is, he can never compare to her mother. Her mother is the one who takes care of her and protects her. She would naturally stand on her side, unconditionally. Lu Jingsong didn't see Fang Qiuyan after get off work for several days in a row. The more he couldn't stand it, the more he felt like his heart was being gnawing at by ants, making him feel extremely uncomfortable. That day, he finally got off work early and returned to the staff quarters early. I originally thought that I would be able to meet them when I returned, but after looking around, not only did I not see the mother and daughter inside or outside the house also became exceptionally clean and empty. It was so clean that it seemed as if Fang Qiuyan and Dohua had never existed. Suddenly, he had a very bad feeling in his heart, and Lu Jingsong looked around again like a madman, until he pushed open the closet door of the room where she slept that he saw nothing inside except the 2 sets of underwear he had bought. Lu Jingsong felt dizzy. She really took away her and Dohua's things. Where did she go? What does she want to do? Fang Qiuyan had already sent the clothes and other things to the pharmaceutical factory dormitory. Work will start tomorrow, so she wants to stay in the dormitory tonight. Although I really don't want to see Lu Jingsong, some things are better to be said in person. For this reason, Fang Qiuyan specially bought a fish and planned to cook a meal so that she could say goodbye to him properly so that they could part ways in peace. After all, no matter what, he has done her a favor. If he hadn't brought her to the army, she wouldn't have met Lin Wanshu and changed her destiny. Furthermore, he is a good father to Dohua. Even for tofu pudding, she had no intention of breaking up with him. Fang Qiuyan had already made up her mind, but when she walked to the kitchen door with the fish in her hand, she saw Lu Jingsong coming out of her room with his clothes disheveled and looking mad. Their eyes met, and they both stopped at the same time. Fang Qiuyan didn't expect Lu Jingsong to come back so early today. When she met the man's red eyes, her eyebrows jumped involuntarily, and she had an inexplicable... Furthermore, he is a good father to Dohua. Even for tofu pudding, she had no intention of breaking up with him. Fang Qiuyan had already... After the initial shock, Fang Qiuyan has now come to her senses. Although she didn't understand why he had tortured himself like this, she didn't intend to ask. She raised the fish in her hand and smiled. I'm going to buy some fish. I'll make some boiled fish for us to eat later. But after hearing this, Lu Jingsong still stared at her without blinking. It was as if he wanted to stare a hole in her. You know that's not what I'm asking. Where are your and Dohua's things? Where did you take them? There was a distinct tremor in Lu Jingsong's voice, as if he had used up all his strength to say every word. Originally, Fang Qiuyan planned to sit down and have a good talk with him after dinner, but now that he had made it clear, there was no point in hiding it any further. Thinking of this, Fang Qiuyan put away the smile on her face and looked back at him straight. Since you already know this, I'll just tell you straight away. I plan to move into the dormitory in the future. Although he had already guessed it, when he heard her confirm it in person, Lu Jingsong was still so shocked that he almost couldn't stand.
Why?
He heard his own voice, asking woodenly. Fang Qiuyan smiled slightly and said, Haha, Lu Jingsong, are you really stupid or are you pretending to be stupid? But no matter what, I want to congratulate you on being able to reconcile with your lover soon. Hearing this, Lu Jingsong's face changed. What do you mean? What sweetheart? What reconciliation? Seeing that he was still pretending to be stupid, Fang Qiuyan's smile became more sarcastic. Literally, Fang Dongxue called me a few days ago. I heard that her husband ran away, leaving her and her son behind. It's so pitiful. It just so happens that our marriage was a mistake. I will make room for her, and you two can get back together. The word, get up, she was interrupted viciously by the man. Fang Qiuyan. Hearing the sound of him gritting his teeth, Fang Qiuyan's heart skipped a beat, and she saw that the man's eyes suddenly turned red. Fang Qiuyan had never seen him like this before, and she was so frightened that she froze in place. Her hands unconsciously clenched the bamboo strips that strung the fish together until her palms were almost cut by the strips. Only then did she force herself to calm down. Lu Jingsong, I'm not saying this out of anger. Our marriage was originally a ridiculous farce. Now that she's single again, let's get a divorce and put an end to the mistakes. Hearing this, Lu Jingsong was so angry that his whole body was shaking. He took a step forward and walked towards her step by step. Is that what you want? Push me to her? The man's strong sense of oppression made Fang Qiuyan's legs and feet tremble uncontrollably, and her heart rose to her throat. But she did not avoid his gaze, but said seriously, It's not a push. Divorce is just returning to each other's position. You can continue your relationship, and I will take Dohua to the pharmaceutical factory. Lu Jingsong stared straight at the woman in front of him, who was calmly saying, Divorce. His fists were clenched so tightly that his nails dug into his palms. A faint smell of blood filled the air. Have you wanted to divorce me for a long time? His voice was very soft, but Fang Qiuyan felt an inexplicable sense of fear in her ears. But she still straightened her back and didn't even flinch her gaze.
Yes.
It was because of Dohua that she decided to live a good life with him. But now that Fang Dongxue is here, she doesn't want to force herself anymore. Even though the man's face looked ugly, Fang Dongxue still spoke firmly. However, just as she finished her words, she saw the man take a step forward. Don't even think about it. Hearing his vicious voice, Fang Qiuyan's heart skipped a beat. A premonition of extreme danger made her subconsciously turn around and run outside. She had only run 2 steps when, in the next second, she was suddenly hugged into that strong embrace. What are you doing? Fang Qiuyan could finish her exclamation. The man's lips fiercely blocked her voice. Lu Jingsong had never felt so painful as he did at that moment. How could she say those 2 words so lightly? As if he was nothing to her. Just hearing the word, divorce, his heart felt like it was torn apart, and he was so painful that he just wanted to block her mouth so that she could never say such hurtful words again. Fang Qiuyan took a step back, straightened her back, and looked at him straight. Lu Jingsong looked at the woman standing upright in front of him, and suddenly had a premonition that the next words would be something he could not bear. Thinking of this, his heart was in turmoil and he couldn't rest for a moment. Fang Qiuyan's lips were still red and swollen, but her eyes were filled with frightening hatred. I admit that I was wrong to walk into the wrong room, but didn't you sleep with me? You took away my innocence and left me in your house for so many years. My Dohua almost died, and now can you erase the hurt I have suffered by saying live a good life? Lu Jingsong, I tell you no. I can't get over this hurdle. Although it was Fang Dongxue who was behind this, the harm was real. Originally, Fang Qiuyan had already persuaded herself that even for the sake of tofu pudding, she had to let go of the past and look forward. But now that Fang Dongxue has jumped out, she can no longer deceive herself. How can I not mind? Her tofu pudding looked so pitiful, so skinny without any meat on it, and she almost died of illness. She knelt before her mother-in-law and begged again and again, but she refused to give her even $1. If I hadn't borrowed money from the team leader later, I might not have any tofu pudding now. Whenever she thought of this, Fang Qiuyan felt so heartbroken that she couldn't stop crying. I don't want to say anything more about the past. I just hope you can stop nagging me for Dohua's sake, and let's part ways amicably. Seeing her red eyes, as if she had suffered all the injustices in the world, Lu Jingsong's originally upright posture collapsed in an instant. His lips moved as if he wanted to explain something. But when he thought about how Dohua almost died of illness, and how he didn't even know she existed at that time because of his resentment, he lost the strength to defend himself. That is his flesh and blood, born to him by her. And he just left them to fend for themselves. How can such a great harm be erased by just saying, live a good life? The two of them had been in such a quarrel that Fang Qiuyan no longer had the mood to cook. Holding the fish, she turned and walked out. Behind her, Lu Jingsong stood there blankly, watching her leaving, his whole body looking a little dazed. The blood in the palm of his hand had already flowed between his fingers, but Lu Jingsong no longer cared. There was only one thought flashing back and forth in my mind. She wants to divorce him. There is no room for redemption between them. The next day, the pharmaceutical factory that everyone had been looking forward to finally started operations. After breakfast early in the morning, the military wives came to the pharmaceutical factory early. Since the pharmaceutical factory was almost entirely founded by Lin Wanshu, the higher-ups decided that she would be the one to manage it, and Ji Hualan, as her deputy, assisted her in handling factory affairs. On the first day of work, after Lin Wanshu gave a mobilization speech to the military wives, the sound of firecrackers rang out in front of the pharmaceutical factory. When the work just started, Lin Wanshu didn't expect the military wives to be able to get started right away. Therefore, the first week was almost entirely spent on training. However, in order to pet up efficiency, it is also to keep the formula confidential. The pharmaceutical factory's processing is divided into several workshops according to different procedures. Each workshop is responsible for different things. The factory was first built. The layout of the factory was also designed according to Lin Wanshu's requirements. Lin Wanshu opened a food factory in her previous life, so she was very familiar with factory management. Because almost all the people in the factory were military wives who were familiar to each other, Lin Wanshu had already explained the factory's rules and regulations when she mobilized them. And let me be frank with you, anyone who does not abide by the rules will be expelled after 3 warnings. The military wives all understood Lin Wanshu's personality. They knew that she only looked easy to talk to, but was actually very ruthless and impartial when it came to doing things. Therefore, they did not dare to act rashly and just worked honestly at work. After all, this job is much easier than working in a textile factory. Not only is the work content much simpler than the pharmaceutical materials they usually handle, but the working hours are also not long. Only 8 hours a day. In textile factories are long, the work intensity is high, and the workers have to work in 2 shifts, day and night. Such a good job in a pharmaceutical factory is hard to find even with a lantern. They must be crazy not to cherish it. In the factory, the wives of the soldiers worked very hard, and outside the factory, several teams of soldiers were as energetic as ever, going up the mountain to collect herbs at dawn every day. It turns out that the job of collecting herbs is relatively easy, but the work points are not small at all, and even a female comrade can easily get full work points. However, the work points for collecting herbs are separate from those in the village. After unified calculation, cash settlement is made every quarter. This means that everyone who collects herbs can earn money, just like a worker. However, the village also has to ensure food production, so each household can only send one person to collect herbs and the rest stay in the team to grow crops. Although money is important, food is more important. The members of the cooperative decided that since women could earn full work points by collecting herbs, it would be more cost-effective for women to go up the mountain to collect herbs while the men stayed in the team to do farm work. The women earned more work points, and they felt more confident and even spoke with more confidence. That day, when Xianghan handed over the medicinal materials to the team leader, after registering them, he hurriedly prepared to go home. Traveling with them was Wang Chunyi. Aunt Xianghan, congratulations. I heard that your Xiaoying gave you a grandson. It turned out that Lu Xiaoying had labor last night, and it was the midwife from the team who delivered her. Everyone was poor in those days, and few people would go to the hospital to give birth. Instead, they would find an experienced midwife and give birth like that, early in the morning, and everyone couldn't help but feel happy for them. Hearing this, Wen Xianghan couldn't stop smiling. Yes, he was born at 2 o'clock in the morning yesterday. It's a grandson, but he's a little small. Wang Chunyi heard this and comforted him. Hey, what's there to be afraid of if it's small? As the old saying goes, if there's a seedling, there's no need to worry about it growing. Now we women can also make money, and our lives will get better and better in the future. Someone nearby echoed. Isn't it? Xianghan, you have finally gotten what you deserve. When Xiaoying is out of confinement, you two can work together to earn work points. You can definitely help raise these little ones. Originally, they were all worried that Lu Xiaoying would not be able to support her blind mother-in-law and raise children alone. Who would have thought that the army opened a pharmaceutical factory and they would also benefit from it and make money? In the past, they would never have dared to imagine such a good thing. When Xianghan's face no longer had the sadness of previous days, and even the wrinkles between his eyebrows had smoothed out. Hearing what the two said, she also smiled happily. Thanks to Dr. Lin, if it weren't for her, we wouldn't know what to do. More than half a month ago, she felt that there was no hope in life and just wanted to die. But in just over 20 days, everything changed dramatically. Her eyesight has improved, and the team has taken on a job delivering medicinal materials to pharmaceutical factories, so she can earn some money. Now her daughter-in-law has given her a grandson. All of this is so beautiful, like a dream. The other two also earned a lot of work points in the past few days, and they were equally grateful to Lin Wanshu. If it weren't for her, how would they have the opportunity to make money? After chatting for a few minutes, they went home. When Xianghan was in a hurry to go back to take care of Lu Xiaoying and her grandson, she walked very fast, carrying a pair of baskets. It's already noon now, and I wonder how the mother and child are doing? Muttering to herself, she walked all the way back home. Before I even entered the door, I heard a familiar voice coming from inside. Your body is too weak. You need to rest more and recuperate. Don't overwork yourself. 1 or 2 days of work won't make a difference. When Xianghan heard that it was Lin Wanshu, he felt excited. Quickly and said with a look of surprise, Dr. Lin, you are here? Lin Wanshu hadn't been to the Shangpa team for some time. She was very pleased to see that when Xianghan seemed to be in better shape again. Hey, Aunt Wen. I heard Xiaoying gave birth, so I came to see her. She had just arrived and had already taken Lu Xiaoying's pulse and examined the newborn. Probably because of the lack of nutrition during pregnancy, Lu Xiaoying was seriously depleted. Fortunately, the baby was strong and although small, he was quite healthy. The little guy looks wrinkled, his features are quite regular. Looking at Lu Xiaoying's happy and nostalgic expression, it is not difficult to guess that the child looks very much like his father. When Xianghan was deeply moved when she saw Lin Wanshu specially come over to check on her daughter-in-law and grandson. He quickly and enthusiastically moved the stools and greeted people. Dr. Lin, Comrade Fong, please take a seat. I'll go get some water. You can all stay and have a meal before leaving. Don't worry, Auntie. I'm here to see Xiaoying and will be back soon. As she spoke, she took out a bag from her backpack. I'll give you this. After 15 days, steam it with eggs and eat it. Lin Wanshu had taken Lu Xiaoying's pulse last time and was familiar with her physical condition. I will do my best to help her recover her health while she is in confinement. The mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law knew Lin Wanshu's abilities, and they were immediately very grateful. If Lu Xiaoying's health is improved, they won't have to worry about their lives anymore. Thinking of this, they did not reject her kindness. But I secretly decided in my heart that I must repay him when I have the chance in the future. After seeing Lu Xiaoying and her son, Lin Wanshu did not stay long and said goodbye and left with Fang Qiuyan. The pharmaceutical factory had been in operation for a week, and Fang Qiuyan had not returned to the family compound and had basically stayed in the factory without coming out. Work during the day and go back to the dormitory to continue studying at night. Because of her particularly sensitive sense of smell, Lin Wanshu did not let her do ordinary work. Instead, she was assigned to a technical position where the work intensity was greater than that of other military wives. But the salary is also a bit higher. The military wives have already witnessed Feng Qiuyan's strength. Not only is she gifted, but she is also extremely hardworking. They can't help but be convinced. It was already afternoon, and the two of them had lunch in the factory before coming out. The factory starts work at 8 a.m. every day, gets off work at 12 p.m., and works from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. There was still half an hour before work started and time was not tight, so the two of them walked back slowly. Qiuyan, what are you and Captain Lu going to do? Because Feng Qiuyan moved to the factory, almost everyone in the staff quarters knew that she had a conflict with Lu Jingsong. Du Wangxian had come to her several times to do ideological work and even mobilized several military wives to persuade her. However, Feng Qiuyan remained unmoved. I plan to go to him in a few days and ask him to file for divorce. Feng Qiuyan was silent for a while before she spoke. These days, whenever she thought of Feng Dongshua's words, she felt like something stuck in her throat. After realizing that she did have feelings for Lu Jingsong, she became more and more eager to cut off ties with him. It seems that only in this way can I calm myself down completely. The sooner they get divorced, the better it will be for them to get back on track. Lin Wanshu couldn't help but sigh in her heart. She let it go. She was clearly trying to escape. Thinking of this, she couldn't help but persuade him. Qiuyan, I think you should find a chance to tell Lu Jingsong about what happened that night. No matter what, he is also a victim and has the right to know the truth. Hearing this, Feng Qiuyan fell silent again, until she felt a pain in her palm that she came back to her senses. Pursing her lips, she responded softly. Work in the afternoon, Feng Qiuyan went to the staff quarters to pick up Do Hua. The little guy was waiting at the gate early. As soon as he saw her, his little face brightened up, and he ran towards her happily with a bag in his hand. Mother. During this period, I ran between Do Hua's housing compound and the factory. I played with other children in the housing compound during the day, ate with her at the factory at noon and in the afternoon, and slept with her in the dormitory at night. I don't know if it's because she's gotten used to it, but she gradually regained her previous liveliness and cheerfulness. Asked curiously, what is this? Hearing this, Xiao Dohua subconsciously hid the bag behind her, hesitatingly saying, Nothing. Nothing. Looking at her expression, how could Feng Qiuyan not guess? It must have been given to her by Lu Jingsong. A complex expression flashed across her face, and after a pause, she touched her head and said, Dohua, you can accept the gift your father gave you. Don't worry about your mother being unhappy. Her and Lu Jingsong was Dohua. Feng Qiuyan knew that what she did was selfish, but she just couldn't bear living under the same roof with Lu Jingsong. Whenever she saw him, she would remember how good he had been to Feng Dongxue. Whenever Feng Qiuyan thought of how good she was to Feng Dongxue, she felt more and more unable to forgive the suffering she and Do Hua had endured. Feng Qiuyan had already decided to divorce Lu Jingsong, so she could only try to comfort Do Hua as much as possible to minimize her harm. Do Hua saw that her mother was really not angry. She immediately became happy again. Feng Qiuyan held her hand and walked towards the factory. As they walked, she said, He is your father. Even if he doesn't live with your mother, this fact will never change. You can accept whatever he gives you. Hearing this, Do Hua became even happier and even skipped as he walked. These days, her father gave her a lot of delicious food and fun things, but she didn't dare tell her mother for fear that she would be angry. Now that she didn't object to his contact with his father, Do Hua was extremely excited. The mother and daughter walked slowly back to the factory, talking all the way, and where they didn't notice, a figure was following them from a distance. In the family compound, Du Wangxian saw Lu Jingsong secretly sending his wife and children away again, and couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. When he came back, he couldn't help asking again, What did you do to your wife? Why is she so angry? I asked so many people to help you persuade her, but it didn't work. Since last week, he has been training like crazy, risking his life every day. I won't stop until I'm exhausted. Du Wangxian was frightened by her madness. After asking, he found out that Fang Qiuyan had actually moved to the factory dormitory. But when he asked him again what the reason was, he remained silent. If Do Hua hadn't come to the staff quarters during the day, Du Wangxian suspected that he would have exhausted himself to death on the training ground. After Lu Jingsong returned home, he still looked a little dazed. After hearing this, it took him a long while to react to what Du Wangxian said. After twitching the corners of his lips, Lu Jingsong finally told the story of Fang Dongxue. After hearing his words, Du Wangxian also fell silent. This is indeed a difficult matter. If it were him, he probably wouldn't be able to completely ignore Fang Dongxue. After all, he was the one who made the mistake first. But if he really did that, Yang Zheng would probably twist his head off. Finally, he let out a long sigh. You should deal with Fang Dongxue's matter first, otherwise I won't be able to help you persuade others. How could Lu Jingsong not know this truth? In fact, he had already started making arrangements after receiving Fang Dongxue's letter. And on the day Fang Dongxue called, he told her very clearly that he could find her a job in the brick factory in town so that they and their son could live a stable life. Apart from that, there was nothing else. No possibility that she will come to me for help. But Fang Dongxue was determined to stick with her. Not only did she refuse to take the job at the brick factory, she also called Fang Qiuyan to talk about all sorts of things. This completely annoyed the person off. Faced with her entanglement, Lu Jingsong felt overwhelmed and powerless. Because of his debt, he could never be too harsh on her. Fang Dongxue seemed to have figured out his plan and refused to give in. If he can't handle Fang Dongxue, what qualifications does he have to ask for Fang Qiuyan's forgiveness? In the end, Lu Jingsong had no choice but to train hard. Only when he was extremely tired could he barely get a good night's sleep. Seeing his brother's anxious look, Du Wangxian patted his shoulder sympathetically and said a few words of comfort before leaving. Du Wangxian left. Lu Jingsong stood there blankly for a long time. It was almost dark before he took a hasty bath. However, he did not return to his room, but went to the room where the mother and daughter usually slept. The room remained as empty as it was before she left. Her body fragrance was gradually fading away, as if in 2 days, all traces of her presence would be gone here. Lu Jingsong lay on the bed, greedily sniffing the faint fragrance that still lingered on the mat. My heart aches. Lu Jingsong knew that he liked Fang Qiuyan, but he had no idea how much he liked her. It was not until she said the word, divorce, that he suddenly realized how important Fang Qiuyan was in his heart. Lu Jingsong had never experienced this kind of pain in his heart, as if it was being tortured every moment. Even though that night caused the failure of his marriage with Fang Dongxue, he was mostly filled with anger and disgust at being plotted against. V never felt such a heart-wrenching pain before. It felt like even breathing hurt. Lying on the bed in a daze for an unknown amount of time, Lu Jingsong suddenly thought of something and stood up and walked towards the closet. After standing for a while, he opened the cabinet door. On the other side, Su Menjing's leg that was bitten by a snake had recovered from the swelling. After a period of pestering, Su Mingqi finally gave in and allowed her to stay. However, after what happened last time, Su Menjing has become much more low-key now. She was afraid of upsetting Su Mingqi and having him drive her away, so she behaved herself well for a while. She kept a low profile every day, and only after she finally coaxed Su Mingqi into submission did she start walking around the staff quarters again. Because Su Mingqi stayed at home most of the time, she rarely went out to play with other military wives, and she would never listen to gossip. Therefore, Su Menjing had no idea that Fang Qiuyan had moved into the factory dormitory. When she heard the news, she almost laughed out loud. I was just wondering how to get her out of the family compound, but I didn't expect her to go out on her own. Su Menjing excitedly said to Qiqi in her mind. Qiqi no longer had much hope in her, so upon hearing this, she gave her a warning. You must plan carefully this time and don't act impulsively again. When she thought about the outrageous things she had done a while ago, she couldn't bear to watch it. Qiqi, don't worry. I won't do anything rash this time. Su Menjing narrowed her eyes and smiled sinisterly. Lin Wanshu is now 8 months pregnant and has 2 months left to give birth. As her belly grew bigger, it became more and more inconvenient for her to move. She got off work in the afternoon. The military wives treated her like a national treasure and carefully escorted her all the way home. When I got home, Sun Shifeng had already prepared dinner. Seeing her coming back, he hurried over to greet her and asked with concern, "Wanshu, how are you? Are you tired today?" Hearing this daily question, Lin Wanshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Mom, I know what I'm doing. I'll rest when I'm tired. I won't try to be stubborn." Although she said so, Sun Shifeng was still not reassured. After all, this is the Qin family's great treasure. I originally thought it was amazing that she could become a doctor. Who would have thought that she would even open a pharmaceutical factory? She was said to be the person in charge of the pharmaceutical factory, but in fact she was the factory director. Others would wake up laughing in their dreams if they could become a worker, but she is a factory manager. What is the concept? She even suspected that the smoke coming out of the Qin family's ancestral tomb was not real, but that it was on fire. Since her daughter-in-law is capable, Sun Shifeng naturally pays more attention to her. Even though she said she was not tired, Sun Shifeng still hurriedly asked her to sit down and rest. "Qin Yan should be back soon. I'll go call Meow Meow. Dinner will be ready soon. If you're hungry, eat something first." The main theme is doting. Lin Wanshu was of course aware that her mother-in-law's love was conditional, but she still wouldn't dwell on it. The mother-in-law to be nice to her than to cause trouble, right? Even if this love is out of self-interest, so what? After all, she is not her biological mother, so she won't ask for too much. It's enough for them to get along well with each other. "I'm not hungry yet. Go find Meow Meow first." She hadn't seen the little guy for a long time, and she missed him so much. Sun Shifeng responded and went out. After she left, Ma Qiuping came over. As soon as she entered the room, she said cheerfully, "Wanshu, congratulations." Lin Wanshu didn't understand what was going on, but she still quickly stood up to greet the person. "It's Sister Ma, come in and sit down." Ma Qiuping was startled when she saw her making such a big movement, and she hurried forward to support her. "Ouch, go slower. You're heavier than usual." As she spoke, she helped him sit back on the stool and then said, "I'll just say a few words, and then I'll leave." Hearing this, Lin Wanshu asked curiously, "Sister Ma, what did you congratulate me for just now?" "I'm here to congratulate your Qin Yan on his promotion." Hearing this, Lin Wanshu's eyes lit up.
Real?
Although she knew that his promotion to deputy regiment commander was a matter of time, she couldn't help but feel happy for him when she got the confirmed news. No one knew better than her how much he loved this job. "In my previous life, I even sacrificed my own life for it. Being promoted to deputy head means he can go further. How could it be false? You'll know when your man comes back." Ever since Lin Wanshu helped her solve the employment problems of so many family members, Ma Qiuping liked this excellent military wife even more. Naturally, I would also be happy to give her some advice. Lin Wanshu was extremely grateful for this. "Sister Ma, don't go back later. Stay and have dinner with us at home, and fish and meat every now and then. The food standard is extremely high. We happen to have meat and eggs today, so it wouldn't be bad to use them to entertain guests directly." "I won't eat. I have something else to talk to Hualan about. I will definitely not be polite to you when I am free some other time." Ma Qiuping patted her hands, then said goodbye with a smile and left. Lin Wanshu was left behind, waiting for her man with joy. After thinking about it, she went to the pond, picked up a fish, killed it, and prepared to make a dish of pickled fish. Knowing that Lin Wanshu liked to eat fish, Qin Yan put a few big fish into the pond. "You want to eat it, just scoop it up and kill it." Lin Wanshu was preparing to fillet the fish when Sun Shifeng came back with Xiao Meow Meow. I don't know where the little guy went to play. His little face was covered with soot, and he looked like a little cat. As soon as Meow Meow saw her mother, she smiled. "Mom, I'm back." When Sun Shifeng saw her killing the fish, she felt it was a bit of a waste, but she didn't say anything. She just thought she suddenly wanted to eat it. After all, pregnant women's appetites are always strange and picky. "Wanshu, How do you want to kill this fish? Tell me, and I'll help you kill it. I know that she knows many ways of cooking fish, and different methods involve different ways of cutting fish. Therefore, she did not rashly plan to kill according to her own ideas, but asked Lin Wanshu first. Xiao Miao Miao came to Lin Wanshu by herself and rubbed her thighs. Lin Wanshu's heart softened when she rubbed against her, and she didn't care whether her trouser legs would be soiled by her. After patting the little guy's head, she said with a smile, "Meow meow. Wait here for a while. Mom will fillet the fish for you to play with." After saying this, she shared the good news with her mother-in-law with a happy face. "Mom, Ayan has been promoted to Deputy Regiment Commander. I'm going to kill a fish to celebrate." Hearing this, Sun Shifeng's eyes widened. "What? You said our Qin Yan got promoted?" She didn't know how high the deputy head of the group was, but her son's previous position meant that the commune leaders were always polite to her when they saw her. "We upgraded to the next level?"
Yes.
Director Ma came over and said just now. Lin Wanshu said this with a smile on her face and started to slice the fish with swift hands and feet. When Sun Shifeng finally realized that what she said was serious and not a joke, she was so excited that she almost fainted. Lin Wanshu quickly reached out to support him. "My son has made great progress. He has been promoted to the next level. It's time to kill the fish."
No.
"Killing the fish is not enough. I'll go find some sausages." Hearing the good news, Sun Shifeng was even more exaggerated than Lin Wanshu. "I wish I could spend all my family's savings to celebrate for my son." Lin Wanshu was almost dizzy because of her. In the end, she had no choice but to hold her back and said, "Mom, there are already enough dishes for today. You don't need to cook anymore." Hearing this, Sun Shifeng finally calmed down. There were meat, eggs, fish, and sausages, which was not even as sumptuous as the Chinese New Year. Thinking of this, she smiled a little embarrassedly. "Look at me. I'm so happy." She is now very sure that the ancestral tomb in her family must have caught fire. Otherwise, how could such good things happen one after another? "No, I have to call the old man tomorrow and tell him about it to make him happy too." The mother-in-law and daughter-in-law were busy preparing additional meals, and Qin Yan did not come back until it was almost dark. As soon as I entered the door, I heard a woman's cheerful voice. "Welcome home, Vice Captain Qin." Standing at the door, she gestured a welcoming gesture to him. Qin Yan looked at her cute and funny appearance, a smile flashed in his eyes, and there was an indulgent look on his face. He didn't think she was childish at all. "Thanks." Seeing that he really agreed, Sun Shifeng was delighted. "Come and eat. Today the table is full of delicious dishes." Even little Meow Meow came forward, hugged his thighs, and called, "Daddy, Daddy." Qin Yan, who was not so happy even after getting a promotion, felt so satisfied at the moment as he looked at the most important people in his life. On the other side, when Su Menjing heard that Qin Yan had been promoted, her eyes suddenly lit up like light bulbs. "So, he will work with my brother-in-law in the future? Two people work together, there should be many opportunities for them to meet, right?" Su Menjing felt that the reason why she had not been able to get close to Qin Yan for so long was because they had too few opportunities to meet. Qin Yan is now the deputy head of the regiment, and her brother-in-law is the deputy political commissar. For two people to work together less often. As long as they have the opportunity to meet often, Su Menjing feels that she will definitely be able to win Qin Yan. Moreover, he was promoted to deputy regiment commander at the age of only 26 or 27. Such rocket-like SP-ped made him a man with great luck. Such people should belong to themselves. After all, she still has Chi-Chi. She is so special. Why wouldn't Qin Yan be fascinated by her? In order to ensure that the plan would not go wrong, Su Menjing made a detailed battle plan with the help of Chi-Chi. The content includes, but is not limited to, how to approach Qin Yan and how to capture his heart. In addition, Su Menjing also wrote down her plan on how to deal with Fang Qiuyan. As for Lin Wanshu, keep it for now. After she deals with those two people, I'll come back and deal with her. Making the schedule, Su Menjing carefully hid the notebook. Although Nanjing and Su Mingqi would not enter her room at will, Su Menjing was still worried. Finally, I simply pressed the notebook under the mat and covered it with a pillow. Chi-Chi was speechless when she saw that she actually put this kind of thing here. Can't you just remember it in your mind and then destroy the contents? If anyone saw it, it would be living evidence. Hearing this, Su Menjing disagreed. Don't worry, no one will come into my room. I will burn it when I'm done. She didn't know what was going on, but she felt that her memory was getting worse recently. I often forget things. If I don't write it down, she might forget it later. Chi-Chi didn't know what to say in the end. I can only secretly plan to find a suitable host as soon as possible. Su Menjing is so stupid. Maybe one day she will be dragged into this mess. On the other hand, after a month of processing, the pharmaceutical factory successfully produced the first batch of drugs. Fang Qiuyan is a technician and is also responsible for quality inspection. Her sense of smell is extraordinary. She can almost tell whether the ointment is good or not just by picking it up and smelling it. However, the factory is also equipped with professional testing equipment. Lin Wanshu's guidance, she is now able to use the equipment skillfully. Although she can tell whether a medicine is qualified just by smelling it, she will still use equipment to test it for the sake of rigor. Fortunately, the military wives are very supportive and every process is carried out strictly in accordance with the training. There are very few substandard drugs produced. It was not until now that Fang Qiuyan finally understood why Lin Wanshu had conducted the examination selection with such fanfare. In addition to shutting up other people who cannot enter the factory, the selected military wives also have extraordinary execution and perseverance. Look, the factory only trained them for a few days and they were able to get the job done, and the quality is so high. Lin Wanshu's ointment had no trouble selling. Many troops had already placed orders before the factory even started production. After all, the clinical trial results of this drug are really amazing. Orders started lining up almost as soon as the pharmaceutical factory started construction. This is also the reason why the pharmaceutical factory can run so smoothly. The higher-ups are eager to let them produce the medicine as soon as possible, so naturally they give the green light to all aspects. After the ointment is tested and packed, it is ready for shipment. The afternoon, a military green vehicle wrapped in tarpaulin drove into the factory. The first batch of medicine will be supplied first to the troops in this military region. As soon as the car drove into the factory, 3 or 4 soldiers got out of the cab. Fang Qiuyan led a few people to the warehouse where the goods were stored. There were boxes of ointments neatly stacked inside. Thanks to the equipment improved by Huinju, the production speed of the ointment is not slow. 1 month, several thousand boxes of ointment were produced. A military vehicle was completely packed. After all the goods were loaded onto the truck, it was already 5 o'clock. I looked at the time and knew that at this time the team would come to deliver the medicinal materials. Fang Qiuyan waited for a while. Because the factory was established not long ago, some staff have not yet arrived. Although Fang Qiuyan is a technician, in addition to solving various problems that arise during the production process, she is also responsible for inspecting and shipping goods and collecting medicinal materials. It can be said that her job is the busiest in the entire factory. However, Fang Qiuyan had no complaints. On the contrary, she was very grateful to Lin Wanshu for giving her this opportunity. The more she does, the more she learns. Although it will be a bit tiring, it is better to be a little tired because when you are tired you won't have time to think about random things. After waiting for about 10 minutes, the people from the downhill team came over in ox carts. The person driving the ox cart was a tall and thin young man named Chen Fengliang. Originally delivered the medicinal materials to the Xiashan Brigade. He was replaced in the last half-month. However, after half a month, Fang Qiuyan became very familiar with him. As soon as he got off the car, Chen Fengliang greeted her cheerfully. "Sister Fang, why are you here so early today?" Chen Fengliang has 2 canine teeth and a pair of peach blossom eyes, and he looks particularly sunny and cheerful when he smiles. "Yeah, you're early too." Fang Qiuyan also greeted with a smile. As he said this, he was about to move the medicinal herbs from the ox cart. But just as she grabbed the corner of the sack, she heard Chen Fengliang say with disapproval, "Sister Fang, you are a female comrade. This thing is heavy. You really don't need to move it. Just wait by the side. I will move it." As he spoke, he picked up a sack and walked towards the scale in the shed. Fang Qiuyan didn't take to heart what he said every time. Still picked up another sack. A sack weighs almost 100 kilograms. However, Fang Qiuyan does a lot of farm work on weekdays. Although she looks thin, she is very strong. Carrying a sack, he walked steadily to the scale. Seeing this, Chen Fengliang said helplessly, "Sister Fang, you are just too strong-willed. Women should do light tasks. How can they do such heavy work?" If someone else said this, it would be a bit over the line. However, Chen Fengliang is not very old, only in his early 20s, and he is sweet talker, speaking to every female comrade in the same way. Fang Qiuyan didn't think there was anything wrong with it. He just smiled and said, "The chairman has said that women hold up half the sky. I am no less armed or legged than a man, so why can't I move?" As he spoke, he put the sack on the scale and started weighing it. Hearing this, Chen Fengliang scratched his head and chuckled. "I'm worried about you, aren't I?" After saying that, he continued to move other medicinal herbs. There was no way to respond to this, so Fang Qiuyan ignored him and went to call the accountant to come out for the registration. The accountant is a female comrade named Zhu Xiaozhu, who was recruited from the county and has 3 years of work experience. I heard that he was sick before, and his job was taken over by his younger brother, so he has been idle since then. It just so happened that the pharmaceutical factory was recruiting, so she came over. Now I live in the same dormitory with Fang Qiuyan. Fang Qiuyan weighed the herbs while she registered them on the side.